Good morning, beautiful people. It is Wednesday, August 26, 2020, and we got a good one for you. Joining us today, Jeff Fisher, former Titan and Rams coach, will be joining us for the best ball fantasy football setup that FanDuel is doing this season. He'll be talking about that. Seems like fantasy football is a lot of work. I've tried to do it a couple times. It is difficult. You got to stay on task. You got to go weekly. Who's hurt? Who's not hurt? Who's going to have a good game? Blah, blah, blah. I respect the people that do it. It is awesome if you do it. I like the dedication to this team and dedication to winning you have, because fantasy football losers normally get punished in beautiful fashion. But FanDuel has recreated that. Jeff Fisher's on to talk about it. You set your team, then you forget your team. They'll just go ahead and put in your highest scorers as your starters each week. It's a best ball. Whoever performs the best is your starter team. You draft 20, then you just let that thing eat all season. You can win and be a fantasy football player without having to deal with the hassle of the week-to-week decision-making that I ultimately decided to opt out of. Yep. Joining us in the second hour, Gus Malzahn, head coach for Auburn. Hashtag ride for the brand was their entire motto last year. I respect it. Good brains, good minds. Auburn is currently ranked 11 in the AP Top 25 poll. Ranked ahead of them, Ohio State, a team that will not be playing this year. There's also big updates when it comes to the Big Ten vote for postponing the football season from fall to spring. An entire Sports Illustrated article has come out that the Big Ten, after they made their vote, they thought that it was going to be so popular and they were going to look like such heroes that was going to be, we care about the health and safety more so than football. They thought that's how it was going to go. They also thought that the ACC was going to follow immediately behind them in postponing the season. Turns out Notre Dame called the ACC and said, hey, we want to play. We'll join the ACC, maybe make some magic down the road. The ACC says, oh, well, let's put the brakes on there. Little Fred Flintstone feet down squirrel. We are not going to cancel our season then. Let's let the Big Ten and Pac-12 look like stooges. And it is alleged now from this person's inside source at Sports Illustrated that if the vote was to happen today for the Big Ten to postpone the season, they would not do it. It would not be the case. So now they're just kind of sitting there, waffling in their decision-making, trying to see if they could potentially move a season instead of being next year or next spring into late fall. I mean, there is a lot of panic happening in the Big Ten. I believe there's a lot of disarray, and it all revolves around the fact that the players, the parents, the coaches, and some athletic directors still want to play, and they know that if the SEC plays, the ACC plays, and the Big 12 plays, boy, recruiting is going to be tough for the next couple of years. And I don't think the people making the decisions in the Big Ten and the Pac-12, if you read that Sports Illustrated article that came out, they had any idea how important football was. That was the quote that was in the article, is the Michigan president had no idea how much clout the Michigan athletic department had or something like that. Boosters who normally donate millions and millions of dollars to these schools are freezing the accounts now. They're not doing, I mean, there are things cooking in the Big Ten. And guess who's in front of it, who we keep up with, who is the face of the upset fan in the Big Ten?
Bobby Carpenter.
Bob Carpenter, yeah. Former linebacker for Ohio State. If you want to see the upset side of the Big Ten fans, follow Bobby Carpenter. He's been redlining announcements. He's been pulling things. He's been clipping things. It's been fantastic to watch. Obviously, we here at this show want everybody to be safe.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. But if you talk strictly from a football standpoint, this whole, if the SEC, ACC, and Big 12 get this thing off the ground, and we'll talk to Gus Malzahn in the second hour about the SEC doing it, how they're doing it, what are the protocols, how's the team feel about it, have you had conversations with like the bottom person on the roster, how they're going to handle this? If they pull it off, whoo, Big Ten's going to be awesome to watch. The fans are going to be awesome to watch. The coaches are going to be awesome to watch. It is going to be a big deal, and that's all starting to leak out. And Sports Illustrated, pretty notable. I don't think they're lying.
No
way.
Definitely not.
Sir Yacht was caught on an island there on his boat a couple times with his source probably telling him information that might have been accurate at the time, but everything's so fluid. But Sports Illustrated is now knocking in and saying, hey, Listen, they want to play, and they are not happy. And if they were to go back and do it again, they would not. They thought the ACC was going to follow suit immediately after them. Turns out Notre Dame came in and said, no, don't do that. So now more people hate Notre Dame. The ACC turned their back, I guess, on what Big Ten thought was the deal. Now they're playing football. Big Ten, Pac-12 are out of it. Also, David Bakhtiari joins us in the second hour to talk about not only protecting Aaron Rodgers, playing the football really good, being a Pro Bowler, but also, hey, that guy chugs beers good.
Oh, yeah.
People forget this guy chugs beers good. Remember, that was a big thing there for like 2 weeks on the internet. Is football players and athletes and celebrities chugging beers. I will say, Matthew Stafford put a video out of him chugging it like an Applebee's or a TGI Fridays or something like that, and it was the best chug out of everybody in the NFC North. And that includes our friend Aaron Rodgers, who I knew was setting up Bakhtiari to look good. He played his role perfectly. He said, I can't do it. I'm so sorry. Bakhtiari, you go chug another one. Absolute animal. Can't wait to talk to him, see how training camp is going. Good beer chugger, though. And I love good beer chuggers. Two down to the face. We just showed the video here at youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. And the reason why I like good beer chuggers is because look at that arena, okay? Now, granted, that's thousands and thousands and thousands of people there at the Bucks Arena there. And that is something that you can get the crowd going. But even at a house party with 5 people there, 6 people there, if you're somebody that can open your gullet and suck down a beer faster than anybody else, the immediate sense of the room is lifted. The entire morale is lifted. I've told a story about being in Morocco, a place that did not speak our language. I was wandering through a town. I go down into the basement. There's some tea down there. Now, I think it was a rug or carpet, Moroccan rug, I believe, rug. It was a rug shop, and I was just kind of bouncing around. I played some soccer on the streets. I got pickpocketed. I mean, it was a good. I was having a good experience. I was having a good old time over there in Morocco. Okay, and great people over there, by the way. The country's very interesting, obviously, but great people.
Even the pickpocket.
The pickpocket kid, go ahead and get it. I could have caught him, though. I could have caught him. And everybody remembers my Moroccan trip from going over there and meeting the guy who has all the argan nuts, which has all the argan oil, which is all the Moroccan oils that you see in conditioners and facial and shampoo, everything, basically. I could have been the guy that introduced argan oil. Those could have been McAfee's magic nuts from Morocco that could have, really made us $1 billion. But I forgot the guy's number because I got drunk and lost a piece of paper. So, but in the basement of a Moroccan rug company, business shop, there was like 10 people down there. And they were giving me kind of side eye. I was getting some looks from some people. They didn't know why I was there. I asked for where the expensive ones are. They took me down in the basement. There was a tea thing there. I took the tea thing and I just downed it and I put it down. There was a clap. All of a sudden, there was no more a language board. There was no barrier or anything. It was like a good time. And that's why I enjoy people that chug good. That is why I had to retire the chug. Okay, I had to put it away because everywhere I went, people wanted to chug against me because I was a very good chugger for a long time.
Yep.
30 beers at some places I was getting asked to chug.
Every single time.
It was getting tough. I'm going to be honest. It was getting
And you won every single one of those chugs.
Thank you. We have them all on tape, too.
Yes, we do.
And that will all come out at one point. But it got to the point where I had to save me from the chug. Like, I had to, publicly retire it because every human would come up and say, I want to chug against you. And I'm like, no. Like, oh, you scared? And then I'm like, all right, we got to do this. And every single time, by the way, you can't call yourself the greatest chugger that currently exists if you don't win every single time. Yep. And that would be like 4 or 5 chugs deep in like maybe a 10-minute span. And then I got some young hotshot who's like a little Pat McAfee when he was like 21 years old coming right up to me as a 30-year-old. They're like, I want to chug against you. I'm like, well, I just took down a 6-pack, but let's go. I'll do this. And my guts are bubbling at this point. It's becoming a brewery inside, but what do you have to do? You have to dump the canister down there. I've been beat before, but not often, and I had to retire the chug thing. Bakhtiari, I like that he just got right into the chug game. We'll talk to him in the second hour. And big news coming out of last night. Playoff P is back, baby. Paul George is all the way back. He talked about why he was struggling down there. He said he didn't appreciate mental health enough, anxiety, depression, being locked in the bubble, which I could see that possibly being the case, especially after what Terrence Ross told us it was like, how there's not a lot of room. Playoff P came all the way back last night. Kawhi Leonard went into full cyborg mode. He was knocking down everything. But the big story of the night is not that the Clippers came back and Luka's ankle seemed to be a little bit hurt and the Clippers won by like 70 points or whatever, and they seem to be on a tear here. Will the Mavericks be able to bounce back? Will Luka be able to get back to his step-back form? Seems like that could be difficult, but we will wait and see 2 more days. The big story out of last night was a man who was invited to be a part of the virtual fans, okay? Invited to be a part of the virtual fans that are on the screen in the back there. And he was told to be there at a certain time. You go to log in. I assumed it was a Zoom call. Turns out it's not a Zoom call because I do have the Zoom thing on my phone because I've been forced to do a couple of those. It is a Microsoft Teams app.
What?
So I had to download the Microsoft Teams app, and then I had to sign in with the sign in, the login. So I was supposed to be there at one time. I didn't get there until 4 minutes later because I had to download the app, sign into the app, do all this stuff. So I thought I was potentially going to miss my seat that I had because they said it was packed to the gills. So you get into this Microsoft Teams app, you get into this little group, and there's this guy. Weird beard, okay? He's doing a full thing. He was the Section 6 fan base moderator. And he goes, welcome to the blah, blah, blah. This is the blah, blah, blah. Can you please hit this button, this button? Then he puts up on the screen, he says, I'm going to share my screen. It's an entire code of conduct that you're supposed to agree to, like 15 rules, very small. He was like, I'll go through a couple of them here. Okay, no smoking, no this. He said, last week somebody was caught hitting a hookah on camera. I said, sir, that was Lil Wayne, and that was not a hookah. So there was an entire thing. You had to mute your thing, but a couple people, there was like 35 people in the Microsoft team. Some people didn't mute it, so we had dogs barking. We had the TV echoing, which, by the way, the TV was 30 seconds behind the game feed that we had on the Microsoft Teams app. So I guess that was kind of a cool thing. But then you get in there and the game starts. And I don't have a laptop at my house. I barely know how to use this thing. I only log in to see how the YouTube comments are going. I'm not a big laptop guy, not a big iPad guy. I've been a phone guy through and through. And you can do everything on here, I believe. So I did it on my phone. It was a small little screen. And I'm just sitting there staring at this thing, okay? And I'm trying to look at the big screen, the television. My lady's trying to look up there. I have a wig on. I have a beard on. I have glasses on, and I'm like, okay, because we're giving away a lot of money here. We're giving away $500 in site credit to FanDuel. I'm giving away some cash. I mean, I'd like to make this a little bit difficult. And in the games I watched in the past, I feel like there was a lot of wide shots where you just saw the entire board.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought it'd be funny, if I'm just down there in the corner in a wig, in a costume, if people could screenshot and be like, here he is right here. Like, that's how I saw that whole thing going. I saw the entire thing going, where's Waldo? Boom, right there. So then I'm watching this game, okay, and I'm on this tiny little screen, and it's 30 seconds ahead of it. And by the time you look up, you're already behind or whatever. And they didn't show the fans. Maybe in that first quarter they showed it one time.
Maybe.
I'm not even 100% sure. So I'm like, oh my God, this is never going to end. Nobody's going to be able to find me. So I take the wig off. Okay, so I take the wig off, and now I have the beard on, no glasses, and I'm sitting there, and they finally show us up there, and I'm like, oh, but it's so quick. There's like nobody could ever see it. So the beard's getting very hot. I'm sitting in my house, and they said, hey, there I am. There I was right there. That was me. So I'm sitting there, and, I'm like about upset. I'm about upset with how this is going. I'm like, this is not going how I'm playing.
Burt Reynolds.
And this is bingo. And this is a blowout. This game sucks. I'm like, how is this going to go? So I take the beard off. I'm like, all right, maybe more people will see me here with the beard. And I had I had that long polo on. Everybody knows I'm not comfortable with that. So I took that off as well. I took that shirt off, and it was only, you saw, it was only like from here to here or whatever. I might have had that off for like 30 seconds, and then all of a sudden, boom, the admin has kicked you out, or someone removed you from the meeting or whatever. You have been removed from the meeting by the admin or whatever. And I'm like, are you kidding? I just got kicked out of a virtual arena right now? How do I even get kicked out of this thing? There's people doing a lot worse on these things I've seen on the internet, and I get kicked out for taking my shirt off. The guy told me, hey, you're at your house. You got to do what you got to do. You just can't smoke. You can't do this. I guess in that guidelines, the ones that he didn't cover was can't take off your shirt, because the FanDuel folks who set this up, they said immediately after me getting kicked out, the admin came in, voice of God, just a reminder, do not take off any of your clothes, and then came right out of there. So I got kicked out of a virtual arena last night, and I don't even know if anybody else has gotten that done to them. Yeah. I'm pretty pumped up about it, but boy, oh boy, that admin, I'm not supposed to bury him. What a freaking terrible nerd, that guy. Take it easy. He could have just sent me a message. There's like a private messaging thing, like, hey, can't have your shirt off or whatever. What do you think? I was going to slip a nip in there? Hey, guess what? This nip right here, Not going to offend anybody.
No.
Not going to offend anybody.
Everyone's
Nip right here. It's a terrible nip. Not a good nip. People are actually probably going to feel bad for me. It's not going to be the complete opposite way. I mean,
look at that guy's nip.
It was just a big ordeal, obviously. So the contest, hashtag Where's Pat, turned into a hashtag Where's Pat, hashtag he got kicked out of a virtual arena contest. And we were going to have it end at the end of the Clippers Mavs games. I think we do. FanDuel's still giving away $500 in site credit, and I'm going to give away $5,000 cash. Those winners will be randomly selected. I believe Connor and Zito will probably have to go through my cash side. I don't know what FanDuel's going to do, but it was an interesting night to get kicked out. And then obviously a little bit later, Rick Carlisle, head coach for the Dallas Mavs, he got kicked out as well. So two of us got kicked out, although nobody talked about that in the coverage. A little bit of a bummer, but I'm pretty pumped I got kicked out of there. I don't think I would have survived that entire thing. But
awesome.
I don't know how anybody signs up for that.
You know what we should do is we should.
There's not a lot of repeat fans.
Isn't it all family, or most of it family?
It didn't look like it.
No, there was a lot of diehard fans in there. Dogs were barking. I mean,
Yeah, a lot of people apply to be on those things.
yeah, like sell out, like
Yeah.
waiting list.
Yes.
I don't think there's a lot of return customers going in there. What were you going to say, Z?
No, we should do like they should like have an animation if you get kicked out, like cop alarms and like a whole entire jail thing comes down.
Oh,
Or
like
the
I
X
guess,
and your
from-
box,
X
yeah,
from
and
Family
X's you
Feud.
out, yeah.
because I was right behind the Mavericks bench. Is what
Yeah.
said. I was right behind the Mavericks bench. So I mean,
seats.
and
Like the bottom row
I was
almost
front
of
row.
the- yeah,
I was
pretty
front
cool.
row.
On
No
the
big
Zoom.
deal. No big deal. Doesn't matter because the view is the same. Terrible from
Yeah.
from wherever you're at. But they just slid somebody into my spot as soon as I was gone.
Sons of bitch.
Probably that admin, by the way.
Yeah.
That admin wanted to get a little showtime, kicks
Probably.
me out,
Probably why.
gets his face
Oh.
in there. Oh, that
Section
guy.
6.
At Nick Morato's here, at Tone Diggs is here, Ty Schmidt's here, Jason McAfee's here, Viva Lazito's here, Evan Foxy's here, Mullet Mitt is here without the mullet, great fade kid. Boston Connor is sitting down here on the couch. It was a wild night, though. In that game, that Clippers team, hey, if it's that Clippers team,
Yeah.
that's exactly what everybody was predicting for the Lakers-Clippers battle potentially in the West. They were damn good last night.
Well, it's taken them a little bit to kind of find their rhythm because Montrezl Harrell's been out, Lou Williams has been out, obviously Patrick Beverley's still out. So now that the team's kind of coming together a little bit, they're finding their rhythm, and also Paul George isn't playing like scoring 7 points a game, right?
Well, he did own it, I think, which is very
yeah,
nice.
for sure.
A lot of people burying Paul George. Now, I did say the other day when Paul George had a bad day, I said, hey, his next shot's his best shot. Could come out. I actually said Paul could go out and have a great game because that's what the NBA is, by the way. The NBA is what I'm learning from this bubble is somebody can have the worst game ever. Then the next game, they're the hero of the bubble, talked about everywhere as being potentially the best player in basketball.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's what have you done for me lately, this bubble basketball? And if Paul George is going to continue to play like he played last night, everything could turn around. Nobody will even remember that he was the only player in basketball history to shoot under 25% for the first 4 games or 5 games or something like that. He had a rough go, but he was very open about, hey, it's been tough on me down here. I think he has a kid. I think he has a baby at home. I think he had I think there was a lot going on for old playoff P. He likes to fish, but I don't know how many times you can fish in the same damn pond down in Disney and just have a good time. That is something I think I could understand a lot, though. If you're down there, depression, he said, anxiety, you could see how that could creep into your basketball game, especially if it's all about like feeling good and getting it going. But if he's going to turn it on, that Clippers team could be a problem, especially if Kawhi is just going to be able to knock down everything within New York. I mean, everything was just splashy for old Kawhi. Thought he was going to potentially drop 60. But boy, I'm happy I didn't have to sit around for that entire thing. That was a worse, terrible experience. I don't know how that is something that people. Now, granted, I got kicked out, so maybe I'm a little bit jaded by the whole thing.
No.
But while I was doing it, because you can't have the sound on your TV, so you can only have a sound on your phone because the TV's literally 30 seconds behind the game feed on the thing. So your TV is 30 seconds behind, and there's a feed in there, which is smart, by the way. Get rid of the delay, I'd assume. But it is a not enjoyable thing. I mean, you got to be a real diehard fan in there, and you have to be on mute, so you can't even nobody even really hears you. So you got to like kind of like, yeah.
You got to show your
You got to do like
fanhood.
that, what's that Tony Robbins clap. You got to do like that Tony Robbins clap. It's just, I don't know how you do it. And they monitored me very quickly. We've seen things on a lot of, I wonder if that's kind of had to change here throughout this entire bubble. I have a lot of respect for the people that go into that virtual fan thing and enjoy the experience and sit there for the entire time. It was terrible.
Well, that's what I thought was interesting is I think if like you would have painted your chest or something like that, like it probably would have been fine. They would have been like, all right, whatever,
I've
this
seen
guy's
that too.
Yeah, exactly. So like I don't understand why that happened. But could you
Hardo and the Section 6
Yeah.
fan admin, such a hardo. Give that guy a little bit of authority. Little bit of authority. It's like a yellow jacket at one of these securities or whatever.
Could you hear stuff on the court, or was it just like the game feed?
Just the game feed.
Okay.
Chris Webber. I heard Chris Webber.
Because that would have been sweet if you would have heard like hot mics on the court and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
you don't. You just hear strictly the game feed. So the game feed just runs right into its own like face thing or whatever. That's Section 6 fan admin. I mean, I respect you doing your job or whatever, trying to save a situation from like what happened on in another venue. You know, the Thunderdome.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that's WWE's fault. Now, granted, I was shirtless on TV. Somebody has a photo of me in the fan base without my shirt on, which I don't know how that's that big of a deal, to be honest with you.
Couldn't even see your nipples.
Well, I
Doesn't
mean,
make any
to be fair, though, I did take off a wig, then a beard, then a glasses, then a shirt. I mean, it
What was
was,
coming next?
to be fair, I could see how that could happen, but you can't. How can you police everybody at their own house? You can't.
Can't.
And then they're like, well, it's their job to. It's like, yeah, we are in unprecedented times doing very new things. I don't know how you can police what every human's doing at their house. And I guess the way to do it is you just boot them off there as soon as you see something happen. 19 minutes after the hour, we got to get to a break. There's me shirtless. Yeah, there he is. The guy made an appearance. I was so hot. I was sweating.
Get him!
Those
Get his
wigs-
shirt off!
Those wigs are hot too.
Were the people sitting next to you cool?
So
guy
because I
kept
was
getting up to
because
the
I was doing it on my phone and not on a laptop, there was an option, I guess, on a laptop where you could see where you were at. But the phone, I didn't have that option because there wasn't a big enough screen, I guess. So, I mean, it's problematic. It's problematic. It was not enjoyable. It was not an enjoyable experience. And you think I should? Mansur is like, take your shirt off now. Ah! 20 minutes after the hour, we're back on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I was told by Del Curry, Scottie Pippen struggles on a golf course, right?
Right.
I was told at that thing that I'm going against Scottie Pippen the next day, match play, heads up, one-on-one Scottie Pippen. So we decide, like, okay, we could probably have a couple drinks, stay at the casino a little bit longer than we should.
Representing the NFL out of the Shoeless Golf Club of America, Pat McAfee. His opponent, representing the NBA, Scottie Pippen.
You know what I mean? This guy's got 6 rings. Yeah. He's a fucking Hall of Famer. But today he's going to play against me. And then I start seeing Scottie hit some shots that are just like starting to come together. And I'm like, wait a fucking minute. I think I was lied to.
We were lied to yesterday. We were told Scottie Pippen was a terrible golfer. Bro, he's Scottie fucking Pippen.
Going in the back 9, I think I was down 1. Like, we were battling. But I started making putts. And Scottie Pippen went ahead and got real hot. I mean, real fucking hot. I was down 3 with 7 left. And I looked right in the camera, and I go,
We're down 3 with like 7 holes left. Scottie Pippen's about to get this work.
Scottie Pippen from 190 yards out just fucking dunks it. Fucking boom, bang, and then walks up to the green, gets the ball, cameras on him, and he goes, Pippen ain't easy. Kidding me?
All right, down 4 with 6 left after Scottie Pippen just chips him from fucking 400 yards out.
I was fucking demoralized.
Pippen ain't easy.
By the way, best he's ever performed at golf, because I'm around, better teammate than Jordan.
Yep.
People forget. Oh, yeah, I told Del, I was like, Del, what the fuck you lying to me? He was like, well, I saw it yesterday. He was not great. And Greg Anthony told me, and I was like, Del, he buried me, Del Curry. He buried me. He was like, hey, Pippen ain't easy.
Yes, baby, it's time to celebrate.
Talking about a shotgun of beer after he had beat me. Obviously, I like teach him how to do it.
Yeah, put a hole in there. It might spray a little bit, so.
Leave
Yeah, so you're going to go here, and then you're going to open and flip up. Does that make sense? Congrats on winning the NBA a couple of times, blah, 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 blah. And being an incredible golfer.
Thanks, Paul.
Cheers,
Appreciate
Hey. 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 Hey.
Damn.
Okay,
That's the
Scotty.
best Bud Light I ever had.
Hey, there's no Scott King up here.
You right.
Here's the thing about home security companies. Most trap you with high prices, tricky contracts, and lousy customer support. So while there are a lot of options out there, there's only one no-brainer. Simply Safe's got everything you need to protect your home with none of the drawbacks of traditional home security. It's got an arsenal of sensors and cameras to blanket every room, window, and door tailored specifically for your home. Professional monitoring keeps watch day and night, ready to send police, fire, and medical professionals if there's an emergency. You can set up yourself in under an hour. Just peel and stick the sensors exactly where you need them. No technician required, and there's no contract, no pushy sales guys, no hidden fees, no fine print. This all starts at $15 a month. Try SimpliSafe today at simplisafe.com/Pat. You get free shipping and 6-day risk-free trial. There's nothing to lose. That's simplisafe.com/Pat.
Shout out to Simply Safe and to Diggs for that incredible read right there. Good energy.
Thank you.
Yesterday, the international sporting world was flipped on its head when Lionel Messi, you get it, the lefty from Argentina, I do believe. A lot of people say he's the greatest soccer player on earth, he and Cristiano Ronaldo, and obviously Christian Pulisic are up there in that conversation. Yep. He has told Barcelona, a team that he's been on and a part of for a long, long time, he no longer wants to play there. He wants the hell out. He wants to move. Then we find out later in the afternoon he wants to go to Manchester City. I don't fully understand soccer, Diggs. How does this work? The biggest star on earth, the biggest player on earth, the biggest member of your team, it can wake up and say, I don't want to be here anymore. And then by the afternoon, he says, this is where I want to go. And that's how it works. Because if that's the case, soccer is the most gangster sport of all time.
So in 2017, Mr. Messi signed a contract through 2021. So he's got one more year left that he's supposed to play with Barca. Mr. Messi is smart. He decided to put a clause in his contract that after each season, he can opt out of playing with Barca anymore with no penalty at all. But here's the thing. He missed that window because the normal season is ends in June. But with COVID, the end of the season got pushed back. So Barcelona is looking and talking to lawyers to see if he missed that window to opt out.
Yikes.
Oh, no.
Jeez.
So now Messi's going to hate him.
If there's going to be no penalty. So if it comes back that Messi missed the window, he has an $853 million transfer fee. So that means if he goes to Man City, and this opt-out is with no penalties is not a thing. If he goes to Man City would have to pay $853 million just to get him, and then pay his close to $700,000 a week salary.
You think Columbus Crew's going to be able to do this? You think Columbus Crew can do this
The
or
entire
anybody
MLS
else?
probably couldn't
I mean,
do this.
$853 million somebody's got to pay for him?
Just to
Have him for 1 year, right?
just to get him, and then they have to pay
get
his
him.
contract.
Just the rights.
Messi's a gangster, dude. And somebody will pay that, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody will pay that because if it's potentially going to give them a little bit of an advantage over Manchester United, Man City will pull a trigger over there in England.
The largest transfer fee ever that's been paid right now is like $230 million for Neymar.
Does he really want to get into Christian Pulisic's league, though?
I don't think so.
Oh, no. I I don't think so. Let's pivot out of the international soccer gangster business right into NFL legend business. He's here on behalf of FanDuel in their best ball fantasy football league, which is basically you set it and forget it. Draft 20 players. Let FanDuel decide who's the highest scorer. They'll put them in as a starter. You don't have to fidget with your starting lineups every single week. It's a lazy man and lazy ladies fantasy football, representing that legendary football coach and Super Bowl champion player, ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Fisher.
Yeah!
How's it going, Jeff? Oh, he can't hear me. Oh, this is a moment. We're having a moment. We're having a moment right now. Jeff looks good.
Great stats.
Looks incredible. He can't hear a word we're saying right now. Zito, go ahead and figure that out. Hey, did he not look amazing right there?
Wow. That mustache is in mid-season form.
I mean, he just had a dead stare, too. I was excited to see what we are going to get into. Looks like he's ready to talk some ball. He's ready to tell some stories, talk some shop. He couldn't hear a word we were saying. I don't think there was any chance we were going to be able to hear a word he was saying. This best ball fantasy football thing with FanDuel, though, seems like the right move for me to get involved with fantasy football. I've tried for years to do the fantasy football. I've tried my best. We've had drafts in here, and I've tried to see the excitement that everybody else feels, and it just continues to feel as if like video games feel for me and how they feel for everybody else. It's like, I just can't get into this. I can't get into this. If I only got to draft one time, though, and do nothing else, I am here for that. How many players normally start on your fantasy football team?
I think like 8, 9, or 10.
Quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, tight end, flex,
5, 6,
Kicker.
7,
Did
8,
you hear that answer?
9. Yeah, 9.
I think it's 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah. So, well, it depends on the league. I was in 5 gosh darn leagues last year, and for 3 of them, it was 8. 2 of them, it was 9, and then the one that I opted out of was 10. But yeah, I'm done with fantasy football. I'm going strictly FanDuel now.
So back in the day, it was like, hey, you got to get a running back early, right? That was the big move. I remember because my brother and his friends did a lot of fantasy football, and it was always like, oh, we got to get a running back. I think Chris Johnson was a big pick at one point. Adrian Peterson was a massive ordeal. Now the game has shifted a bit, I believe, right? Isn't that accurate?
Quarterbacks
a little bit, but it is still draft running backs early. ESPN just did their whole like fantasy football thing, and like the first several rounds, they were still all taking running backs.
I wonder, if you draft 20 people, you have to have a certain amount of each position, I would assume?
I would assume so.
So you still have to take the draft very serious?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I tried to pick Vinatieri first round.
Oh, yeah? How'd that go?
Well, we lost, but I did take him first round. I pulled the trigger on him. Gardner Minshew's got that thing going on with Bud Light right
Bud
now.
Light, yep.
If you draft him first overall, you get some free beer.
Yeah, like a case of Bud Light or something.
Not a bad play there. If you want a free case of Bud Light,
Yeah,
go
and
ahead
lose your fantasy football.
Screenshot a fake fantasy football draft. You got Gardner Minshew. I mean, that's not a bad move. I would do that. I enjoyed his workout montage. You think he's going to be good?
I don't
He
know.
plays for the Jags.
Hey,
so.
but they sent Foles out of town for him, and he was a lightning rod last year out of nowhere. Is he going to be a good NFL quarterback?
I mean, his stats, I'll look him up right now, but I think he was 6-6 last year
No,
as
they
the
were-
Jaguars quarterback, and like 20 touchdowns.
20 touchdowns, like only 6 interceptions. He is good, but are the Jaguars as a team and organization good?
No, the answer is no. And they've proven that on numerous occasions. But maybe AFC Championship just a few years ago, they've completely rebooted that thing. 3 different times though. David Blaine Caldwell is what Michael Lombardi calls him because he's a magician. Somehow he keeps a job down there as a general manager. But Gardner Minshew with that video yesterday obviously upped his status of legends. But I'm pumped to see if he plays well because remember Baker. Whenever he got a little bit of hype and started doing some commercials and he played just a little bit bad boy, people were ready to bury him for it. I would assume that because it's the Jacksonville Jaguars and they don't have as much hype that they won't bury Gardner as much. But they sent Nick Foles out of town. He's going to start for the Chicago Bears probably. And now we got Gardner Minshew, first overall pick in my fantasy football draft because I would like a free Bud Light.
With that team and not a lot of weapons, he did go 6-6, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
That's hey, not too bad. In that training montage, he looked good. Ball was spinning out of that hand. We're going to give this a go one more time, ladies and gentlemen, here on behalf of FanDuel's Fantasy Football Best Ball. Draft 20 players and go ahead and forget it for the rest of the season. They'll just pick those who scored the most for your team. Ladies and gentlemen, legendary NFL coach and Super Bowl champion player, Jeff Fisher.
Jeff! Oh, no. Is he muted?
I'm not
Mr. Fisher, if you could unmute your mic. I believe your mic might be muted. over
It
there.
might be us too, Coach. To be honest, it might be us. Not 100% sure. This is Zito, by the way, getting himself out of blame for the Zito production going over the show like that.
How's that?
Boy, Coach.
Coach, what's
I'm
up?
so excited. This is a new world for me, man. Come on, give me a break.
Hey,
Hey, you didn't know this, but most of my players knew. I don't hear in one ear. It's a birth defect. And so all my life, I only hear in one ear. And so anytime on the sideline, back you'll see footage, I'm going like this because I can only hear who's upstairs. So to get this thing working with one ear, that's quite a challenge.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Coach, I'm not good at technology either. That's why I need a Zito around me to do it. I wouldn't have been able to. I'm bad.
You've got more than the group there. I looked when you just was dialing in there, man. There's 8 or 10 people helping you. I didn't know you needed all this help.
I'm a team guy, Coach. I'm a team guy.
Oh gosh.
Let's talk.
Well, hey, it's great to join you, Pat. I appreciate the opportunity.
No problem.
Crazy times, man. Last 6 months, but looks like things are settling down a little bit.
Well, it feels like
What's up?
Nothing at all. Just hanging out, Coach. I appreciate you joining us. What are you up to now? Are you out in the mountains fly fishing right now? Are you just having a good old time?
Not now. I'm back in Nashville, actually. I've been in Montana over the last couple of months. I came in for a week, take care of some things, take care of Mama. She had a little shoulder surgery yesterday, so I got some ice on her. So that leg wrap at the wedding at late night, those wee hours of the night, by her sister took her down, and then the rotator cuff didn't respond well. But it's all good, man. I came down here to Nashville, checking on the kids, the grandkids, and I was looking forward to hooking up with you guys this morning.
How many years were you the coach for the Titans? 17, I believe you were a coach for the Titans. 17 years.
Yeah, I'll go back. Houston '94, interim 5 games, 6 games, and then full time '95, and then '95, '96 in Houston. Then we moved to Tennessee '97. So yeah, it was a long time.
Well, you were a staple of the Titans franchise there for a long time. Had success, had some ups, had some downs, but then you had to run into the buzzsaw that was Peyton Manning in the Indianapolis Colts every single. And I came in at the tail end of that whole thing, got a chance to watch Peyton work day in and day out. And I remember being told a story, and we watched the film of it. You decided to kick an onside kick every single kickoff in a game. How did that come to be? And that is the greatest decision I've ever heard a coach make. And how did it pan out?
Well, so it's Indy week. It's Monday. We're looking at the tape. I get the trainer's report. Got 2 healthy corners. Can't go nickel. Got guys hurt on defense. Peyton's putting 35, 40 up every week. And we were scoring some points. This was, Steve had been injured. And so Billy Volek actually was the quarterback. We had Drew Bennett. We had a lot of good things going offensively. But I'm sitting there looking at this tape going, man, I don't know if we could score with these guys. So I start thinking, I said, you know what? We might as well just onside every time we score. For this reason, if you score and you kick the ball off deep, it's going to be 3 or 4 plays and Peyton's in the red zone. So why not spend all our week on 1, onside kick recoveries, and 2, our red zone defense? And so I talked to the staff Monday, Tuesday, told the team Wednesday, and everybody's fired up. So we did. And then Saturday night, you know how those Saturday night meetings were. It's kind of one of those, all right, guys, anybody opposed to this whole thing right now, just stand up and speak. I want to hear you. And everybody was, no, let's do it. So, yeah, I think it was 4 or 5 onside kicks. The crazy part was Marvin, he comes up Tony sends the hands teams out there after about the 4th one. And Marvin Harrison's standing over there on the sideline during TV timeout. And he's looking at me. He goes, "Are you crazy?" I go, "No, Tony is. Did he just send the hands team out?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "Well, have fun blocking the R5 because I'm kicking this sucker deep." So yeah, we did. I mean, it's about trying to find ways to win games weekly, and you're going having some time off in the stat business and things like that. I don't think anybody's ever faked more kicks or done more gimmick type things than I have, over my career. But speaking of the Colt rivalries, now obviously I'm not going to. I mean, you know who you replaced, and so Hunter's there for what, 8 years, 9 years,
9,
right?
I think. Yeah.
Okay. When I stand up in front of the team every time we play the Colts, it's like first thing you say is, "All right, who's the most important person on this roster?" And the guys will go, "Hunter Smith." And you're sitting there looking at it, go, why? I says, because we got to get him on the field. So if he's on the field, he's punting, that's okay. If he's on the field as a holder, as long as it's a field goal, it's okay. So if we can get Hunter Smith on the field 4 to 6 times a game, we got a chance to beat the Colts.
Everything you just said there is a reason, and it kind of hammers home the fact you were known as a big-time players coach. And that's like, hey, players love playing for Jeff Fisher. You, the night before a game, saying, hey, is everybody on board with this? Yeah, speak, or if you're not, speak up. No coach is going to do that. If a coach makes a decision, most of the time it's like, hey, this is what we're doing. You, the listener, you get the hell out. And you're a former player, obviously Super Bowl champion, and a weapon in special teams for a long time. Do you feel as if the players coach mantra was an accurate one, or did you feel as if that wasn't like a fair way to assess your style of coaching?
Well, I didn't read a book on how to be a player's coach or anything like that. It's just like things just sometimes they should come natural to you, and they did over time. I mean, you talk about the Saturday night meetings. I mean, you remember those meetings, and you know the respect I have for the coaches that you played for, but talking to coaches early in my career, even Bill Parcells, you know, we were just chit-chatting at the combine or something, and he's like, I go, so what's up with Saturday nights? He goes, Saturday nights, I don't even really meet. And I go, why is that? He goes, well, what are you going to say for 16, 17 straight Saturday nights that they haven't heard? And I thought, this should become a fun night. And so, oh man, over the years, the number of guests and pranks and fun stuff that we had Saturday nights. You know, you remember how it was. I mean, the last thing you want is a coach firing you up to get you ready to play at 9 o'clock Saturday night before a Sunday game when you want to sleep. So, oh God, how about Herman Boone, the head coach of Remember the Titans? It was a really cool thing. You know, we were here in Nashville, and I went and got the movie, and I cut it down to about 5 minutes, and I walked in, and guys kind of got quiet. I go, hey, check this out, bang, and I put the video on. So I've condensed Remember the Titans into about 5 minutes, and the guys are like, whoa. And actually, what was really cool about it back then. I did speak a little bit on the race issue because of what he was going through. And remember, he went to Gettysburg and he did all that stuff. So anyway, I got 5 minutes of video, and the guys are kind of sitting there going like, oh man, what's up here, coach? And Herman Boone walks in the back door. Oh. And I introduce him to the team. And the standing ovation, and then he just talked for 15, 20 minutes about those times and about the movie and about Denzel Washington and about, actually in the movie, if you remember, it's years ago, but the friction between he and his defensive coordinator, the white-black thing back then. And it was like, hey, what's up with your coordinator, man? And Herman's like, Coach Boone's like, hey, man, we're best friends, you know? And it just was a really cool thing. And then Will Jimeno, one of the two Port Authority officers that was rescued from Tower 2. I have every time when I go to New York after 9/11, I'd have Will come in and talk to the team. Unfortunately, when I was with the Rams, those players, most of them didn't know what 9/11 was. But you know, those things on Saturday nights, that's a kick, man. I mean, and that's what you should do. The work's done by that point. So. Anyway, I got off, but we have more time left.
Yeah, we have to go to a break for radio. Will you stick with us on YouTube through the break?
I'd love to. Yeah.
All right, radio. We'll be back on the other side. Legendary coach Jeff Fisher, Super Bowl champion player. We'll continue the conversation at YouTube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. Clear, Coach. Okay, so we are just on YouTube now, so you can do whatever the hell you want. The what you were just talking about there with Remember the Titans and what's going on in our world right now, I've always said, like, if we could get some of the NFL locker room or a football locker room to kind of creep into society, it would be awesome. Because you got people from all walks of life. You're a Montanimal. I mean, I'm from Pittsburgh. You got guys from Dade County and everything coming together for one common goal. Yeah. That is the beauty of football, I think, that doesn't get talked about.
So it goes back to my rookie year. here, I grew up in Southern California, went to USC, and surfed in the morning and skied at night, and I ended up going to the Bears. And when I was drafted by the Bears in '81. And Neil Armstrong was the head coach, and I thought that was an astronaut. The only person I knew on the Bears was Walter Payton, and then Vince Evans because he was a Trojan. And in 3 years, I'm duck hunting with Walter Payton. I mean, every day off. And in we could have been further backgrounds. And people just don't understand what the game does to all of that. And I mean, it was cool. I mean, my experiences, I was talking about Steve and Eddie yesterday with somebody, and my relationship with Steve, I think about him all the time. And we were best friends. Same with Eddie. And what this world just needs to hear about the cool stuff that's going on in the league and in the locker rooms, as opposed to the stuff that came out. I feel, obviously I'm sympathetic and I get it and I feel it and everything, but how do you get these stories out and exchanges? And, I was talking to somebody a few weeks ago. I was in St. Louis during Ferguson, and, I had a few guys go down there just and check it out of curiosity. And we brought the Ferguson high school football team in because they couldn't practice. They had no field. It was destroyed. And we brought them to our facility to do, to practice and play. And it's like, we just need to be real about all this. And people need to talk about who their best friends in life are. And it's pretty simple, and let's just not politicize everything,
I agree with you, Coach. I've said literally since the jump, the George Floyd murder, and now what's going on in Wisconsin with Jacob Blake, the conversation always tends to be like, these people don't like these people, and it's like, we cannot let our worst representatives be the people that kind of represent an entire thing. And I wish so bad that a football locker room was like documented. It couldn't be like the show Big Brother. I wish there was some way to document what a locker room is and somehow teach society how to operate. Like, it's just a special place. I grew up playing soccer, and then I get into the West Virginia locker room, the football locker room, and you just realize it's so cool. It is. It's a different place.
Speaking of West Virginia, not jump the subject, but two of my favorite players when I was in St. Louis was with Tavon and Stedman Bailey, and
freak athletes.
Oh my gosh, did we have? I had a funny story. We drafted them, and right next to the Rams facility was the place called Verizon Amphitheater, and so they're kicking off their concert season, and so you got all kinds of different concerts coming on and starting up. So I get a phone call from, I'm going to ask you if you know who this is, from one of the top country artists in country music, who is a West Virginia.
Oh yeah, Brad Paisley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're talking about Paisley, right?
Brad calls and says, I knew him here in Nashville. He goes, hey man, I'm opening at Verizon. He goes, why don't you come on out? I go, geez, Brad, I got like rookie minicamp. He goes, no, well, I'll just come on out. You know the drill. So anyway, I go, okay. He goes, how's Stedman and how's Tavon? I go, I've met Tavon. I haven't met Stedman. He was a later draft pick. I didn't personally interview him, but they're in tonight. He goes, oh man, if I could just meet him. He goes, that'd be so cool. So I go on over, and I'm sitting on his bus, and we're just kind of chit-chatting. He goes, can you bring him over? So I call the director of security. I go, hey man, I go, pull Stedman and Tavon out of their meeting and bring them over here. I'll meet you at the back gate. So they come over. I'm meeting Stedman for the first time, and he's like this. Tavon's like, Tavon's Tavon. And they go, hey guys, come on with me. I want you to meet this dude. So anyway, we go on the bus, and Paisley's taking pictures, and he's so excited, honored to meet these guys. And so now all of a sudden his manager goes, hey, it's time to go. And so Brad leaves and says thanks, and his dad's there, his manager's there. Brad goes up. I go, hey guys, come on with me. I want you to check this guy out. So we go up, and we go on the side of the stage there and listen to two songs, and the place is going nuts. He's playing alcohol, I guess he just goes off with that and all that. And so I look, oh man, I gotta get you guys back to your meeting. So I said, let me walk you back. And so I walk them out, we're walking, and they're just kind of looking around, and I go, all right, be honest with me. You guys ever heard this dude? And they go, No. So I go, that's cool. Now you do. Now you got a fan. Now you know how broad this fan base is and stuff like that. But yeah, it's cool. I wish you could just have a moment in time in a forum just to tell fun stories like that, you know?
Hey, we're having it right now, and I'm enjoying every single one of them from you, Coach. You're here representing FanDuel for Fantasy Football Best Ball. I don't know how much you do the fantasy football. I've tried to do it. It's a lot of work. And FanDuel said, hey, this Best Ball thing, you draft a team, we'll take care of everything else. What are your thoughts on it, and what will your team look like?
Here's the background, okay? Fantasy football while I was coaching was a no-no. You know, you just don't. It's gambling. It's, you know, and so I probably saved league memos regarding that. So I really never got into it. Okay. And when I left, I mean, to be honest with you, I've been hunting and fishing and just, and just enjoying myself and, missing the sideline, obviously, trying to get back in. But, and I got a call a month ago. I got a text on Friday, be in Chicago on Tuesday, want you to film this commercial. I go, okay, shoot, yeah. So it wasn't until I was pretty much on the plane till I know what I was doing. So I'm about 2 or 3 weeks into like, whoa, this is pretty cool stuff. So I'm learning right now. So I don't have any answers for you other than this new concept that they're doing is pretty cool because it's getting a lot of attention. So it's draft once. You have a better understanding than I do. So I'm still a rookie in this. I mean, I'm in my rookie mini camp in fantasy football. So help me with it.
Well, hopefully somebody will pull you out of a meeting and take you to a fucking concert. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. You draft one time, and I think I've always tried to get into fantasy because, like you, whenever you're playing, I wasn't allowed to do fantasy. It was like kind of like, hey, do not be Pete Rose, do not do fantasy, do not gamble, do not do anything. Yeah. So then I retire, and the boys here love fantasy. So I've tried it, and I just can't do it because it's a lot of work. Like each week, you got to set your lineups, you got to do this. FanDuel taking all of that out of there is a wonderful thing, and I think you're going to dominate because your eye for talent, Coach, your eye for talent is next level.
Well, what's interesting to me, Pat, is just talking to people, these experts, these guys know what they're talking about. Now, I've been out for a couple of years. I follow stuff that my only way of getting information, other than to calling a buddy, a head coach or a GM or something like that, is media, and that's my source. And so. But what I've come to know just in this last couple of weeks, these guys know what they're talking about. The statistics available and all these things available to these guys. I mean, my hat's off to them because it's a 24/7 prep job, just like coaches, and they know what they're talking about. So now I don't know if they can game plan and call plays, but they know what they're talking about. It's easy to evaluate it after and predict, but in the heat of the moment, that's where things get tough.
Coach, last question here, and we can't thank you enough for spending time. I hope your shoulder surgery and rehab is going to go well here.
Oh, it's Julie's, not mine. I'm good.
Oh, you're good. It's somebody else's.
It's my better half. Yeah, not mine.
Well, listen, you're going to have to be a hero here.
I'm way past going down with a leg wrap at a wedding.
Coach, last question here. I am a big fan of the show, Pardon My Take, and you've been on there numerous times. And every single time a coaching opportunity opens up, they put out this incredible video about sometimes you have to go back before you can go forward. And you just mentioned there about how you're missing the sidelines. Is that something you've been actively pursuing, or is it like if a situation pops up, you would take? Like, what are the thoughts on Jeff Fisher's future in coaching?
Well, it was a grind for a long, long time. And, I walked away from the Titans mutually because a commitment I kept to myself. If I ever woke up in the morning and didn't look forward to going to work, I was going to get out, and I did. After the 2010 season, I took 11 off, climbed Kilimanjaro, I had a bunch of fun times, got back with the Rams, didn't get to finish. I'm rejuvenated, man. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff. I've fished, hunted all over the place, and I miss the sideline, man. I miss the buses to the stadium. I miss the travel, but most importantly, I miss the players. So if there's an opportunity that comes up, I'm going to look hard at it. And incidentally, I've been the last year or so, I've been paying a real close attention to college football. Well, so if that opportunity arises, I'll look at it. But the meantime, I have no complaints, man. I'm enjoying it, and to be able to talk ball and old times with guys like you, pretty cool.
Well, Coach,
Very
I hope to see you back on the sideline again. I think the whole world does, and I can't thank you enough for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, Super Bowl champion, player in the NFL, legendary coach, and a man hopefully we'll see potentially on the sideline soon, either college football or the NFL, Jeff Fisher.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you,
Appreciate
Jeff. Yeah, you too, man. Cool guy there.
Awesome.
I mean, he was giving a very good answer there, and his video just got shipped right off the screen. I don't know why that happens, but what a legendary guy that guy is.
He could tell stories for hours, I assume.
I would just like to share these stories somewhere. I'm like, hey, let's keep them going, Coach. How about Tavon Austin and Stedman getting called out of rookie minicamp meetings? Like, hey, all right, come over. And Coach Fisher's like, Stedman, how's it going? Head coach, we're going to go to this guy.
Nice to meet you.
The onside kick thing is a legendary story within the Indianapolis Colts organization. Like, look at this. Literally 5 onside kicks to start the game. Smart idea, by the way, though. We can either give it to him at the 20 for a touchback or somewhere back there, and he's just going to 2 plays down there, or we can try to get this thing back and go for it. Let's go for it.
Also shows how good that Colts offense was. That teams had to think of things to do like that.
Tom Brady or New England Patriots, 4th and 1.
Yeah.
That's a massive thing. Bill Belichick came out and said we weren't going to be able to stop Peyton at the time.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get this first down. Melvin Bullitt gets a big-time tackle. Reggie scores. We win. Celebrate. No big deal. We're back on the other side, radio. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Wednesday, August 26th. I think I got it in there.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Just a clear.
Zito, what happened? You fucking just took his face right off the screen there?
I believe Gus is here, and Gus is on the line.
Oh, we got Gus Malzahn joining us here in a few moments.
Pat
He
show
just-
today.
Did Gus Malzahn?
Wow.
Wow. Hey, by the way, while Coach Fisher was talking about potentially being a college football coach,
Getting into coaching.
Gus Malzahn goes, excuse me, get the hell out of here.
Current coach.
I love that.
I've never seen that happen. I don't know. What's
Hey, and now, if I'm right here, and Gus can probably hear us, and I don't want to intro him until we get back live or whatever, or we probably could, I guess, right now. Is he on right now?
Auburn time,
he's
10 minutes
like
early.
he's slowly coming in. I think someone's logging him in right now.
This is like Coach Coughlin time. This is Rich Rodriguez time. I remember in college, Rich Rod, if you weren't there 5-10 minutes beforehand, it was a scene. It was an absolute scene. It's like, well, why don't you just set the schedule for the meeting to be 10 minutes earlier then? why don't, if you want me to be here 15 minutes earlier, just make the meeting 15 minutes earlier. Well, because I'm teaching you about life. I'm teaching you about life. I'm like, well, I guess. I mean, 15-minute nap would have been nice here. I'm just, we're sitting here waiting for his glass to break to come into the team meeting. It's literally like we're just waiting. Like, all right, everybody's here 15 minutes. And we were, by the way. I would like to say our team, and now hindsight, I guess, as an adult looking back, our team probably needed that type of like, hey, this is how you do life, by the way. You show up on time, you're early, the whole thing. I get it. But it turned into us just sitting there waiting 5 minutes, 6 minutes. The meeting starts at 1. It's like, we're all in there by 12:50, 12:51. You're just sitting there, nobody's making a sound. 12:52, 12:53, 12:54, and then all of a sudden, bang, 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 bang. And it's like, wake up, motherfuckers! Rich Rodriguez comes flying in. I mean, I guess it taught me a lot about life. But what I did carry into my adulthood is, if something starts at 10:57, go ahead and see me at 10:56. Because I went to meetings for 4 years straight, about 15 minutes early, and a lot of wasted time. I ain't got time for it. But I did appreciate whatever he instilled in us, discipline-wise.
Did you guys ever have guests like Herman Boone with Coach Fisher or no?
No. So we had an admiral come in and talk to us. We had a couple of people come in and speak to us the night before the game. An admiral came in and spoke to us. Chuck used to have an incredible story. I mean, Saturday night was showtime for Chuck. I mean, it was because Chuck very much understood too, like, hey, I'm not going to give you guys a rah-rah. I mean, every once in a while it turned into one, but it will always start with like some sort of funny story or reference. And then I think depending on the reaction to the story is how Chuck would go, whether it was like a little bit more of a serious story. And he was like, hey, tomorrow you're gonna strip the ball, aren't you? You're gonna do your job here. And yep, okay, all right, yeah, I am, all right. And I'm gonna go take 3 Ambien and try to pass out as fast as possible after this thing. So we had an admiral speak to us, and I think I've told this story before. Winnefeld, I believe his name is. I have his coin. So you know how they give out coins. It's a big deal in the military to share coins. If you get one, it's a massive ordeal, obviously. And you're supposed to travel with them. I forget the actual name of them. Somebody in the YouTube comment section tell me. But I guess it's a big deal whenever you are at a bar or something and somebody pulls out and you put a coin. If you don't have one, you have to pay. Like that is the only time that it has worked for me in public is one time at a bar with some people and I had a coin in my pocket and I put it out and somebody else had to pay because they didn't have a coin. But it's like I forget what it is. I got his coin. He gave us a speech, great speech the night before. It was a really cool speech. And he was a guy who met with the president every single day. He was the head of the, Air Force? Navy? I don't know.
Admiral.
Yeah.
Navy, probably,
Yeah,
right? If he's an
Navy
admiral.
have admirals.
I think they all have admirals, though, right? I think everybody has admirals. I think so. I think admiral's like the guy
I thought that was a
or
boat
lady.
I don't know. I know it's a ship term.
Yeah, ship.
Yeah, I thought it was the Navy.
So
Maybe
then
not,
Navy
though.
then. Right? Well, whatever. He was a guy, he was one of the chiefs of staff who had to meet with the president every single day. So he had Secret Service and everything. He gives us a speech, great speech. I mean, it was a good speech, great speech. Talked about a ship, so I would assume Navy probably. So he does this whole thing, and then afterwards there's like a snack because you've seen the legendary thing of Rex Ryan where he talks and he goes, "Let's go get a fucking snack." Like that is just classic. It's team meeting, then it's snack, and then it's bedtime. I was always somebody that enjoyed snack. I didn't want to go into my room too quick, so I was kind of one of the lingerers. I would bounce around table to table, just kind of see how everybody's feeling, chit chat, tell stories. Listen, it was a cool night, and I was one of the last people there. And there was one other person there, I forget who it was, and we were the only two people in the entire room. And the admiral comes in, he had just got done talking, and like 4 Secret Service. There he is, 4 Secret Service people come into the room, and there's like 4 Secret Service at the doors. He gets his food, he sits down at the table with me. And I'm like, oh my God, like this guy, he probably wants to talk football right now, but how many times you get an opportunity to talk to a guy that talks to the fucking president? So he got peppered with questions from me. I'm like, let's talk about Ebola. Hey, what about the southern border? What's going on with blah, blah, blah? How about Iraq, Middle East? Are we going to be there forever? And he just like answered everything, and it was wild. I mean, it was a wild scene. Good morning, beautiful people. It is Wednesday, August 26, 2020. Just got done with a conversation with Jeff Fisher in hour 1. Had a great chat with him, potentially returning to the sideline. Says that he walked away from the game and he feels rejuvenated. He climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. He's hunted and fished all over the place. He said if he was to get back into coaching, he would love to be back on the sideline of the players. And he said he thinks college football is where he wants to go. Can't wait to see what the future holds for that man. Also told some stories about the locker room, sharing, being a beautiful place of bringing in people from all over the country, all over the world, and communicating and having one common goal. Also told us a story about Brad Paisley not being known by 2 West Virginia superstars in Tavon Austin and Stedman Bailey. Brad Paisley, I think, is a bum. But his music is good. Every time he talks, I hate him, but his music is very, very good. He's a West Virginia guy, so I want him to succeed. Like, hey, go ahead and go get it. But every time he speaks, I think he should stop. So that is just how I feel about that guy. In this hour, we have Gus Malzahn joining us in about 4 minutes, head coach of Auburn. # ride for the brand. We'll chat with him. He was Cam Newton's coach and Jared Stidham's coach, who happen to be the 2 quarterbacks right now up in New England. Although everybody's saying this is going to be a runaway for Cam Newton, and it has been a runaway for Cam Newton. Bill Belichick's complimenting Cam Newton. He has yet to say that Cam Newton's a starter because that's not the Patriot way. Nope. But boy, things look like they are cooking up in New England. We'll talk to Gus Malzahn about the setup of the SEC. How's the season going to go? How are you talking to the players, coach? Hey, coach, what are you telling like the 105th guy on the roster and also like the number 2 guy on the roster, how they all have to act the same? Because if they don't, college football is not going to happen. And speaking of college football not going to happen, it's not happening in the Big Ten. It's not happening in the Pac-12. And from a Sports Illustrated article that we read this morning, sources within the Big Ten have been talking to people telling them that they all assumed, the presidents of the Big Ten all assumed that the ACC would be literally the next day to cancel the fall season and move it to the spring. They thought that they were going to get a hero's welcome because they're looking out for the players' health more so than football. They thought they were going to be these larger-than-life characters. Sports Illustrated article says that the ACC basically pulled a feint, said we'll probably cancel immediately afterwards, and then they didn't because Notre Dame said, let's go ahead and try to make something work for down the road. We want to play a season as well. So now the Big Ten and the Pac-12 are on the sidelines watching the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 attempt to have a season this fall, and it's going to be awesome to watch unfold. Will they be able to pull it off? Gus Malzahn will tell us in a couple minutes how they will do so. All the boys are here at Nick Maroto, at Tone Diggs, at Ty Schmidt, Jason McAfee, Viva Lazito, Evan Foxy, Emmett McMahon, and on the couch at Boston, Connor. Last night I got kicked out of a virtual arena while watching the Clippers and the Mavs. Seems like the Clippers are turning it on. The Lakers are turning it on. What teams should we be looking for, Connor? A man who is not just a guy who gambles on every single basketball game, but watches every single basketball game. Does it feel like the cream is rising to the top?
Yeah, here we go. I mean, the top seeds are going to play at the top seeds. It's going to be Lakers Clippers in the Western Conference Finals, and it's going to be Celtics Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. We got now is when the second round, when these teams really start to pick up, the games really start to pick up. You weed out all the bad teams, and here we go. I mean, the NBA is kicking it up a notch.
Yeah, last night was awesome to watch. A cyborg turn it on. Kawhi Leonard leaves Toronto, sees that Toronto has a clean sweep in their first round over there in the East. The Clippers have been struggling, especially against a hot Luka Doncic, and Kawhi drops 100 points last night. He could have scored 200 points if he wanted to. Everything was falling. And playoff P is all the way back. Paul George rebounds from having a rough start in the bubble, which he said he did not expect and account for the mental health issues to be down there being locked in there. Hopefully he's past that because Paul George, great player, and the Clippers are going to need him moving forward, although I'm still pulling rather hard for the Luka Doncic train. 21 years old, he'll get his shot. I don't know if it's going to be this year, especially after I got kicked out of the virtual arena. Without my support, I don't know how he's going to do it. Joining us now, head coach for the Auburn Tiger, War Eagle, Gus Malzahn.
Yeah. All right, War Eagle, guys.
Hey, Coach, how's it going? This is a wild time to be alive. What are the conversations like with your staff and how you guys are handling the whole situation?
Yeah, first of all, it's just great to be back out there with our players practicing. We're talking to our guys about adjusting. This is going to be a year of adjustments, and really believe the teams that can adjust and keep as normal as possible and get in a routine is going to have an advantage. So that's really been our message.
What has been the message? And Coach, I apologize just asking you for your messages as opposed to football, because there's so much off the field that has to happen first before the on the field stuff can happen. And I thought it's very interesting for college football because it's such a large roster. It's 100 and some players. And you guys are going to have every single player on the roster buy in and say, hey, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to self-quarantine. I'm going to stay away from everything. How have you been pitching that and framing that to your players? Roster number 100 and roster number 2. How do you have that message you get to put across that it's going to take all of us to be disciplined for this thing to happen?
Yeah, there's no doubt that has been our message. Probably about a month ago, we had a pretty good rash of positives, and we've had to kind of pump the brakes on everything. And they had a player meeting. We've had numerous team meetings about how we're going to operate. And our guys have done a solid job since then. And, like I said, it's just about adjusting and being responsible. But at the end of the day, we've got 122 guys on our roster, and we've been talking to our team about, hey guys, this year we've got to have 3 deep instead of 2 deep, and everybody's got to be prepared to play. And the team that has the most depth, could have an advantage also.
Coach, were you watching everything that was happening? You had to be because it's your livelihood. But Big Ten, Pac-12 come out, they postponed the season. And it seemed like a lot of the coaches, athletic directors, and players, their say meant little to nothing. And we haven't heard much out of the SEC other than Greg Sankey saying, hey, we're going to try to do what we can do. We'll delay. It feels like as a college football fan, the SEC, although we do know that football is different down there, has been handling this in a pretty positive fashion. Has the coaches' words and the athletic directors, have you guys been able to speak and say like, hey, we think this could happen, we could do this? Have you felt as if like you've been able to make adjustments to the protocols and the guidelines, or has this been handed down to you guys?
Yeah, all along the SEC had a plan that we were going to wait long as we could before fall camp starts, because things were changing on a daily basis or a weekly basis throughout the whole summer. And so, they just had the plan. I really, really thought that was smart by being patient and get more information as we go. And really, that was it. We had weekly Zoom meetings, SEC head coaches. I know the athletic directors and the presidents from time to time. So, there's some really good leadership from our league office with Commissioner Sankey and his group. And so that's the way we've been doing it, just taking it week by week.
Well, Coach, let's talk about football now instead of everything else. I assume you're pretty pumped up about that. If I do recall, when you got to Auburn, you were like a noted high school coach. Do I have your history right?
Yeah, I was a high school coach for 15 years, and then I was a coordinator, I guess, for 6 and 3 here at Auburn. And so 15 years of college, 15 years of high school. So got a pretty good perspective of both.
Yeah, I would fathom. And the game of football, The NFL has always had its own style of play. Okay, everybody knows like, hey, we're gonna set up. It's a pro style offense, is what they described it. Then high school offenses started becoming like a little bit more run and gun. Then colleges started taking over. I mean, the spread offense became the thing. As an offensive coordinator and a guy who has his imprint on the game, how do you feel about the change of football and how it's been going? And what do you think is next for the game of football?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. You know, the old school pro style offense was 21 personnel with an old school fullback in the eye and a tight end, 2 receivers. And, you know, I guess 2010, that's when I came to Auburn. We were fortunate enough to have Cam Newton, and, you know, we started playing fast and doing zone read and some things like that. I think we were the first team in our league at least to play fast, trying to run a 2-minute offense entire game. And, you know, had some of the coaches that didn't like it, that complained about it, that's actually doing it now. And you look at our league now, and everybody has some pace. Everybody does zone read for the most part. So you've seen it all go all the way up to the NFL. So I just think it's just, you know, you look at the different times across football, things kind of recycle. And so I just think that's where we're at right now.
Well, I was with Pat White and Steve Slayton and Rich Rod at West Virginia,
Oh, yeah.
and it was fun to watch every single day. They put on a show.
And I'll say this, I stole a whole lot of stuff.
Well, it worked. It worked. And the funny thing about it was that we were always told, because we're a Big East team, they're like, never going to work in the SEC. Whenever you play an SEC team, this would never work in the SEC. And I talked to Rich Rodriguez whenever I called one of their games this past year at Ole Miss. He said, you know, I was always told that, you know, I started it at a small school and then I moved up. They said, you never work in one of the Power 5 conferences. And then they told me, well, we'll never work in the Big 12. We'll never work in the SEC. And it seems to be working everywhere. And just like you said, whenever you did it there, I assume there was a lot of coaches with backlash. Now it's kind of taking the entire game by storm. And I would assume defensive coordinators hate you. I would assume the defensive coordinators absolutely hate Gus Malzahn down there in the SEC.
Yeah, there was definitely a time you could definitely say that, you know, and like we said, you know, I was at University of Tulsa with Herb Hand, okay, and
Yeah.
we were the co-coordinators, so we kind of did half our stuff and then half of what West Virginia did, and kind of made our own, and then got here in 2010, and the SEC didn't like it a whole lot. The officials definitely didn't like it, and you know, some of the head coaches, like I said, it was complaining about safety issues and all this other stuff. Now, like I said, they're all doing it. It's the new norm now.
Listening to Rich Rod tell the ref, spot the ball and get the hell out of the way. That was an entire problem. You just mentioned Cam Newton there in 2010, and you guys are ranked number 11. We will talk about how good your current roster is, but we have to talk about some of your previous members of your team. Cam Newton and Jared Stidham, both up there in New England. Cam Newton changed the SEC with the offense you guys are running. He was unstoppable. It feels like he is back healthy again. What did you see from his relationship with Jared Stidham that made you think like, hey, if they're both in the same quarterback room up in New England, it'll work out just fine? Or did you think, oh, this could be problematic?
No, I thought they'd get along great, and just like they are. Yeah, you know, they got to know each other when Jarrett got here. Cam came to a couple practices. I think he spoke to our team. I think they went out for lunch one day, and so they know each other well. And tell you what, they're both winners, and you know, they both you know, won championships here, so it ought to be a good competition.
The Auburn alum are very faithful. Gerard Powers was a teammate of mine. You talk about Cam coming back and visiting you. What is the culture you're building down there for the Tigers? What is the Auburn culture, you think?
Man, we're family. You know, it's the Auburn family, and it's real. And our players come back. They feel very welcome. They got great relationships with our players. And, you know, I've got 12 former Auburn players on my staff. I got 4 that's in the 10. So, we truly are the Auburn family, and that helps separate us.
War Eagle, pal.
Coach, NFL guys, or you hear NFL people talk about how Lamar Jackson can't continue to do what he's doing. NFL defenses will figure it out. But in college, it doesn't seem like college defenses have figured out what you guys are doing yet. Do you think that this offense is able to be figured out, like NFL defense will figure it out, or is this just the new norm?
I think it's the new norm. You know, it's all about personnel. And, you know, the higher level you get, the more important the quarterback position is. And, you know, I think coaches are starting more and more to play to their quarterback strengths. And even in the NFL, and you look what he's doing, and, you know, I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. So I think it's more about just adjusting to your talent. I think that's what you're seeing.
You guys are ranked number 11 in the current AP poll, which is hilarious because I assume you guys, if you win one game, would have to jump the Ohio State Buckeyes, who are number 2, because they're not going to play any games. But what do you have to say about what do you say about your team this year? What are you looking forward to, and what are you learning about the squad after not being able to have them in person throughout all of spring training because it was Zoom calls?
Yeah, the first 2 weeks we're just building our foundation here and just kind of going back old school. And we scrimmaged last Saturday. We'll scrimmage again this Saturday, kind of see what we have, and then we have 4 weeks to prepare. But as far as the rankings goes, I mean, we're not worried about that at all. We're going to take it one game at a time. We are playing 10 SEC games, which I think that's an advantage for us because we played arguably the toughest schedule since I've been the head coach here in our league. And so it's not going to be a shock to our system, as far as playing that kind of schedule. I do think there's some teams in our league that hadn't had near as tough a schedule that I think it could affect them. So we like the way the schedule is, and just excited to see what happens. We're just going to take it one game at a time here at Auburn.
Where are you from, Coach?
Fort Smith, Arkansas. I coached 15 years of high school football in the state of Arkansas, and that's kind of where I got my start.
That draw you have is unbelievable. Coach, can't thank you enough for joining us. Good luck to your Auburn Tigers. Can't wait to see how the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 manage the world that we're currently in. Excited to see you guys pull it off. Ladies and gentlemen, head coach of the Auburn Tigers, Gus Malzahn. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Cheers, man. 122 guys on the roster. He said we got to go with a 3 deep, right? Just like kind of what Hard Knocks said last week about the wide receiver coach said, hey, everybody in this room and even people that aren't in this room or in the Zoom call have to be ready to play because we never know what's going to happen. That guy just loves football right there, though, huh?
I don't know if it's me and I just know the rivalry is real. Like, I think the talking about how some coaches were mad when he brought that offense in, and then some coaches have some cupcakes on their schedule. And I just always think he's taking shots at Saban.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting. It's going to affect them a little bit more than it's going to affect us because we have a hard schedule, and there's been some cupcakes. There's a couple of subtle shots. He's a much more relaxed man than some of the college coaches we've had. I'm excited to see how the offense pulls out. 14 minutes after the hour, we have to get to a break. David Bakhtiari will join us in about 15 minutes. Loaded day with guests today. Loaded day with guests.
Oh, yeah.
Good news because guess what? Not a lot to talk about in our world. Clippers are hot. Lakers are hot. Football's happening. Maybe.
We'll see.
Next week.
Auburn Tigers, War Eagle Diner. It's got to, you have to. I was good friends with Gerard Powers. He and I were drafted same class. He was a stud down there. He actually was the one that got bit by the dog in Georgia. Yeah, that was him.
Wow.
Yeah, he was. So he loves Auburn, though. But, man, you think Alabama college football, what do you think of?
Alabama.
Roll Tide.
But, hey, they want to let you know we got a squad, too. Number 11 right now. Last year they were playing good football. Another year under their belt. It sucks that the offseason wasn't the way they wanted it to be for development-wise. But I appreciate that, man, joining us and having a conversation. SEC, it's different down here. Mm-hmm. It is different down here. And it truly is. ACC pump fake the Big Ten and the Pac-12.
Love it.
I do too, actually.
Shout out Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, by the way, Notre Dame's going to be hated by people for this.
Yeah.
They already are.
They allegedly called the ACC and were like, hey, let's figure something out. We want to play football for sure. And in the Sports Illustrated article, we'll talk about it on the other side, but they talked about how, like the Big Ten, the presidents, they felt since they were such a high academia standard, that it was going to be the same for ACC because the ACC has a lot of high academic schools. Mm-hmm. So the presidents of these super, super smart presidents were like, well, they'll do the same thing we're doing, and we're going to look like heroes. And then all of a sudden, boosters are like, well, we're not giving you money if everybody else is playing. Coaches are upset. Players are upset. Parents of players are currently showing up at there's no way they saw that coming. You know why? Because you can't read about that in the damn book. You can only feel that happening.
Yeah.
There's two different smarts. There's Jeopardy smart, and there's Wheel of Fortune smart. And it feels like a lot of Jeopardy decisions were being made. And maybe if one Wheel of Fortune person was in there, could tell them, hey, we got to read the room a little bit here. Maybe we're not the first people to make the decision. Maybe we just wait. Like, hey, maybe we just wait this thing out. But it is said in that Sports Illustrated article, they felt like they were going to be heroes for making the decision that they made. Hilarious. 16 minutes. By the way, save lives. We'll find out 5-10 years from now if they're the heroes or not.
Yep.
The immediate response, though, from the Big Ten fans where they hate them. Get them all out of here. That's tough. Hey, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Ooh.
That's right.
And sometimes that crown can let you down. 17 minutes after the hour, this is the Pat McAfee Show.
Lucky to be here at the Northrop Hall with the incredible closing crowd. College Game Day is having a blast here. Minnesota has shown up. Row the boat, Sky U-Mall, go Gophers. Let's get the axe and keep that thing in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Place is about to lose their minds. Ladies and gentlemen, watch a man maestro a crowd like Coach Lee Corso. Give it to him. Give it to him.
Watch, now he'll say to me, works every time, what?
Every time. You just can't dog pee on a field. This obviously led to a nightmare situation for Luke Logan, who misses the extra point. An absolute pandemonium happened. But in Dwayne Haskins' defense, the Redskins and Dwayne Haskins might never win a game again. That guy's flexing like PJ Fleck a little bit. Good sells a little bit delayed. He got me the throw. Throw the flag. Sell your soul. Who hates Iowa? A lot of hate here in Minnesota, Maria. Hey, you look good, pal. For me, right after we leave this octagon, I'm going to Lake Minnetonka. I'm pulling a swordfish out of there. Then I'm going to stop by Paisley Park. I'm going to pay my respects to Prince in the Purple Rain. Then I'm going to walk into TCF Bank Stadium, and I'm going to say, M-I-N-N-E-S-O-T-A.
Small businesses have unique needs, and despite the current uncertainty, one thing that remains unchanged is the importance of having the right people on your team.
Nailed it.
When your business is ready to make the next hire, LinkedIn Jobs can help by matching your role with qualified, not calified, candidates so that you can find the right person quickly. LinkedIn is an active community of professionals with more than 690 million members worldwide.
It's a rough outing.
Yeah,
for
it
Z.
is.
Don't worry about us.
What do you mean?
Shelled
Don't,
right
see,
now.
don't worry about us.
What do you mean?
Nothing. We're not even talking. Just act like
I'm
we're
pronouncing my words.
Great sweatshirt.
in a fashion.
Thank you. It's
You
Sam.
are pronouncing them in. Oh, hey, the beat's about to drop here, Z.
Yeah. Solomon. LinkedIn jobs. Oh, I missed it.
No, it hasn't come
Hasn't
yet.
come yet.
When's it come?
No.
LinkedIn job screen candidates with the hard and soft skills you are looking for.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Really good. This is one of the best ad reads of all time, and it may be in the history of radio.
You're throwing some big signals right now. I don't know what it takes.
Hey, by the way, we have some announcements radio-wise after this.
Yep, I'm going to call the action real quick to get to that. When your business is ready to make the next hire, find the right person with LinkedIn Jobs. You can pay what you want and get the first $50 off. Just visit linkedin.com/Pat. Again, that's linkedin.com/Pat. You get $50 off your first job post. Terms and conditions may apply.
That a boy, Z. Way to get through that thing. You battled for sure. Some people in the YouTube comment section said you should have Nick Maraldo read because his voice is so smooth, and I believe that was a ricochet shot at your voice, Zito. It's
Well, I can
What do you
also I can read.
Can you, though? I've
I
never
am
heard of
literate.
Yeah, we're not 100% sure if that's factual. I mean, you went to school for 10 years. You're Jeopardy smart, by the way. There's a guy that we do have a couple Jeopardy smart
go,
guys in
Nick.
here, and Nick would be one of them,
Yeah.
which you need around, by the way. Zito is not Jeopardy smart.
Who wants to be a millionaire smart?
Nope.
Zito can finesse
You
the
are
hell
the
out of
weakest
them.
link smart?
It would be more like the.
Are you smarter than fifth grader smart?
Yeah, no,
probably
no. To be honest, I don't know.
Planko?
Family
Smart?
Feud.
Oh, I'm,
Yeah.
Family Feud.
No.
Finish the lyric.
Because you have to have like relatable thoughts
not
for
finished
Family
lyrics.
Feud.
Maybe Hollywood Squares, because they can just make stuff up, and then the person has to guess if it's right or not.
Yeah,
Is
that
that
might
pyramid
be.
Whose
game,
line is
too?
it anyway? Maybe smart.
No, he's not the pyramid game. No way. No way.
do you mean?
Because he would confuse who he's supposed to be describing. To
Shop
people.
till I drop smart?
Hole in the wall smart.
Yeah, there it
that's
is.
it. Yep.
Hole in the wall is your game show.
It means a lot. I've
Yeah.
never seen that, though.
Oh,
Oh yeah, you have.
You would be just like the clip we've shown a few times.
Oh, Tony.
Maybe Wipeout.
you're a terrible guy.
You're a horrible person, Tony.
Thanks for the
Titan
compliment.
games.
If you're getting bored though, and you happen to find some mushrooms or something like that, like go ahead and take those. And not that you should. I mean, you should only take it under. You get it. But boy, there was a particular night in my life where I tried them for the first time and only time in my entire life, obviously. And Hole in the Wall was on television, and boy, I had the night of my life with that thing. It's one of the greatest shows that doesn't exist anymore. And boy, Zito, you being on that show would be electrifying content. Speaking of electrifying content, we don't bring that every day. We know that. I mean, some days are duds. Some days, though, absolute studs. I mean, sometimes our show is like a show where people go, you know what? That's a show I'm happy I listened to today. And other days, maybe not so much. Our show will be moving from Westwood One. Beginning next week, we will no longer be on Westwood One or CBS Sports Radio. And to that, we say thank you so much for the incredible opportunity. CBS Sports Radio brought us on a few months after we started. Westwood One signed us to do radio, came to our office. It was very, 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 very thankful. But we have had the opportunity now, after getting a chance to see what else is potentially available. We are moving from Westwood One, and I believe we will be. The announcement has already been made. But nothing has been signed, so I don't know. I don't know if this is kind of like the AQ Shipley situation.
yeah.
Like we have agreed to terms. There it is. We have agreed to terms with SiriusXM. So our show will be moving from Westwood One, CBS Sports Radio, which we are very thankful to be on, to SiriusXM full-time. Channel TBD has not been decided yet. That'll start September 8th, which is the Tuesday after Labor Day. We will be full-time on SiriusXM. And our YouTube show will continue and maintain. They will be licensing our YouTube show onto SiriusXM, whatever channel it is, and we move from 10 to noon or 10 to noon 30, depending on what time we end with McAfee and Hawk. We'll be moving to 12 to 3. The entirety of it, 3 hours, will be on SiriusXM and will be on youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. Next week, we'll be on YouTube, 12 to 3. The week after that, we'll be on YouTube and SiriusXM, 12 to 3. We are very pumped. No offense to Westwood One or CBS Sports Radio or anybody like that, but I am very excited to get away from the FCC rules. It wasn't something I thought I'd be better with the FCC rules, to be honest with you. But after speaking on the internet for so long and having the chance to have that freedom with McAfee and Hawk without the radio, it is just a much better home for us. We were going to do the show strictly on YouTube. We decided to part ways with Westwood One in an amicable fashion. Very thankful for the business that they did. We are going to just do the show on YouTube. Then a conversation started with Sirius, license our show over there. And that starts noon to 3 next week on YouTube. The following week after Labor Day, Tuesday, September 8th, noon to 3 on YouTube and on SiriusXM, channel TBD. And we are very, 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 very thankful and pumped up about it. This has been a wild ride. I saw the internet announced a lot of this stuff before I even knew that a lot of it had come to fruition or that it happened. And I saw some people tweeting that we got canned by Westwood One and things like that. I would like to let you know, suck it. That is not the case at all, actually. It was actually just better for both parties there to be like, hey, this isn't what for me, I didn't think I could continue to be an FCC regulated person without really hitting my max potential. No offense to the people that can do that, but for me, it is just much easier to speak naturally and calmly, and that is really a lot of the genesis of the conversation that happened over the last couple months. So the internet broke that news yesterday before I even knew that it was completely true, but that is our schedule moving forward. Noon to 3 starting next week on YouTube, youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. 1 hour of McAfee Hawk will be in there, so AJ will join us for an hour each day. And then the next week after that, we go to SiriusXM noon to 3 as well as YouTube. I am very, very excited. And also that noon to 3, like I very much hate that we're potentially changing some people's schedules and watch schedules in your daily schedule. I get a chance to change my alarm time a little bit, and I don't know if there's a better time than noon 3. We'll still cover everything. We'll still be the dumbest sports show to ever exist, and we'll still have the time of our lives with it. Speaking of dumbest sports teams to ever exist, Pittsburgh Pirates shouldn't exist. Tone Diggs has the hat on right now. I almost slapped it off of his head. Today is not the day to talk about the Pirates because yesterday the Chicago White Sox did something that nobody expected. Ty, our baseball guy, what happened in baseball and why are the Pirates still a part of the MLB?
Good question about the Pirates. They stink, although Tone did mention earlier off air that being the worst team in a shortened season where, less people care about it, maybe not a bad idea. But
no, they stink in full seasons too.
They do. So I guess that doesn't really hold any water. But
yeah, Diggs, stupid.
Well, they were great like 5
No,
years
you look
ago.
stupid. You sound stupid, just like the hat that's on your head.
I rep my city.
No, it's not repping your city. It's letting down your city, letting people know that team is from the city that we're from because that team doesn't uphold the standard of what our city is in sports. That team tries to stink. They stink. They're an embarrassment. And I don't want to say this because I like you a lot and you're married and you're happy and everything like that. You look like an embarrassment. With that hat on right there.
I look like an embarrassment to that city with or without this hat on. So
true. And by the way, the dog hair on that thing is the best part of that entire hat right there.
But yeah, Lucas Giolito of the White Sox threw a no-hitter last night, had 13 strikeouts, 1 walk, close to a perfect game. But yeah, what are you going to say? Tough outing for the Pirates.
So, which happens every single night. A lot of conversation about that not happening in the shortened season because they were going to rotate pitchers faster because they're going to come out, throw mud, and then get pulled. We've seen a couple complete games. Trevor Bauer the other day had a big one. He chugged a beer out there. And old buddy, what's his name?
Lucas Giolito.
Oh, everybody knows that guy. I mean, that's a guy that you don't want to have a no-no against because he is a guy known to assassinate baseball teams. What the?
He is a good pitcher, and it is, if it was going to happen, fellow Paisan to do it is.
You're right. Shout out to Italy. Joining us now is a man who I assume appreciated what Trevor Bauer did after a strikeout where he took an imaginary can of, everybody saying beer, could have been anything else, and chugged it to the face. This man's chugging exploits were focused and spotlighted by everybody across the world. Pro Bowler, offensive lineman for the Green Bay Packers, chugging extraordinaire, David Bakhtiari. What's up, dude?
I tip my hat, but it's facing backwards.
Yeah, well, I get it. That's probably because of the lighting situation. You're a pro at this whole thing. You don't want to put the shadow over the face. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
How's training camp?
It's training camp. It's actually, compared to years past, this is actually like pretty awesome. Definitely a lot better than what we're used to. Good ramp-up period, but now we're in the full swing of things. Good, solid 13-hour days here.
What do you have? The bluest eyes in the history? Are your eyes blue or green?
It's the shirt.
Oh my God!
I mean, really. I mean, it's really for whatever shade that you're the person that's looking into them is feeling.
It was like Jeff Saturday, like eyes right there. I was almost mesmerized while you were talking to me there. Good for you. Good beard. I talked to somebody. I forget what team they were at, but they said there's a different energy in training camp because everybody's excited. Like, hey, we want football. Like, I think after what happened with the quarantine and with the Zoom OTAs and everything like that, there's this mentality amongst the players where they're at. And I don't know if that is echoed throughout the entire league, but it's like, we want football. So training camp, I think to your point there, although it's 13 hours, has a little different vibe, is what he was saying, right?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we haven't played football. I mean, at least for me, I haven't played football since the NFC Championship game. So that was late January. No OTAs. So, yeah, I mean, guys are a little more, bodies are feeling a little fresher, especially the veterans, so to speak. And, I mean, it's good. I think, again, you kind of get a little annoyed hitting your same teammates day in and day out. So, and you're not getting that different player you get to do a little bit in preseason, but I think everything will be ironed out and everything be excited and ready to go come week 1.
How's the offense feeling? They're telling stories of Aaron Rodgers dropping dimes and suck it signs all over the place. How does the offense feel? Last year, you guys went on a magical run there to the NFC Championship. I mean, it was cool to watch the team go. Obviously, the San Francisco 49ers got very hot. Their run game did what it had to do there. But how's the offense feeling? And because obviously with the draft and everybody, nobody knew what the vibe was going to be. How is the offense rolling right now?
Honestly, it's been great. The fact that we've been in the system for over a year now, we're kind of picking up steam, being a lot faster, kind of getting into our groove compared to last year. And I mean, drafting, trade up, draft a quarterback, all the drama that people want to say. I mean, it's been great. Like I haven't really noticed much. I mean, Aaron's out there slinging it, doing what he does best. I can tell he's having fun. He's kind of the feeling I get is he's definitely feels rejuvenated. And yeah, I mean, we're just, having fun, a lot of trash talking, just get through these long days, at least for me. A lot of jokes being had. And I think that's the best part of training camp right there for me.
Are you normally a talker on the field? Do you talk a lot?
Not at all. I don't say anything. I'm kind of like that weird dude, just kind of stares at you.
Oh, that is incredible. Does anybody try to get you? Any defensive ends try to get you?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, in practice, when I'm in the comfort, yeah. I mean, I like to mess around. I like to crack jokes all the time, but I don't know what it is about me in games. I kind of, I just turn into like a weirdo. I absolutely turn into that weirdo where like if you say something or whatever, I'm just staring at you and you're like, all right, man, I'll talk to you later.
It's those ice cold blue eyes you got. What defensive end, what guy in the league have you like preparing for and then playing against? You're like, damn, this guy is just a different level. This guy is a monster. Or have there been nobody that has done that to you?
No. I give credit to a lot of guys I've gone against. There's absolute freaks of nature that I've played against and that are even continuing to come into the league. It's just tough. I hate like that question because there's so many good guys, and I would hate to leave certain names out. One that jumps off top of my head that I actually had an opportunity to play with was definitely Julius Peppers. Like seeing that guy playing against him my rookie year when he was in Chicago, I was like, I played with him. I used to play career mode or franchise mode and choose the Carolina Panthers because I love their colors. Being from the Bay Area, I'm choosing the Carolina Panthers and playing with Julius Peppers. And then now I have to block this guy that like I used to love playing as a defensive end. And then meeting him becoming our teammate, like he consummate pro, absolute stud, really hard to block.
He could have played in the NBA is what everybody says. He's just a freak athlete, one of one, the entire thing. Where'd you go to school at? I probably should have done some research. That's on me.
University of Colorado Boulder.
Okay, so that's up there in that's near where Coors Light is made, right?
Yeah, in the mountains.
Is that where? Well, I believe that's like actually though. Like, well, I remember we played up there. We drove by the Coors Light. I believe we tapped the Rocky. Yeah, we drove by there. Is that where you just started slamming beers at, or was it high school? When did you start with Gatorades? I started with Gatorades in high school. When did you just start housing Brewhaus?
I just got our PR guy just told me to be careful. So when I was in college is really when I hit yeah, I mean, look, I went there for 4 years. We won, I think, 13 games in 4 years, which isn't something that's you're too proud about. But, yeah, we definitely enjoyed ourselves outside of football. Some guys more than others. But, yeah, I think that's where I really kind of honed in my skills of chugging some beers, which I have seen a couple of your videos. I think there isn't too much over here we can be talking about. There's going to be some stiff competition now.
Well, I used to be a chugger, but I enjoy good chugging. A lot of people in the chugging world want to compete against people. I enjoy a good chug because what it does is it elevates the room you're in, no matter where you're at. You chug a beer,
100%.
you're in a living room with 5-6 people. They're automatically going to come to their feet and change their room. You're in an arena at the Bucks game. That entire place rises to their feet. I mean, the chugging, the thing I like about it is obviously not just David Blaning a beer and making it disappear like that, but I like what it does to an environment. That's why I'm a big fan of the chug, and what you were doing, I absolutely loved.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that. I don't think I'm a professional, but I definitely enjoy making beers disappear more than once and on multiple occasions.
Yeah, the 2 beers back-to-back was quite a run. I don't think you got enough credit for that. That's not easy to do, especially with the gullet potentially filling up a little bit. Aaron Rodgers gave his best effort there. I think he made you look a lot better. Personally, that's a good quarterback. That's a good leader.
You know what? He did the best thing you could ever do for an offensive lineman. He decided to be the ugly girl and make me be the hot girl. Hey, that's my guy. That makes me want to block for him that much longer.
Hey, bingo. Go ahead, Dave.
David, what was a better team bonding moment, you guys being in Pitch Perfect or the Kentucky Derby trips?
Ooh. I mean, I got to say the Kentucky Derby, but I mean, there definitely was some fun moments being had at my first real experience kind of in that Hollywood stuff. But the Derby with the boys, gambling, drinking all day, all night, going to the parties after. I mean, that's especially Aaron taking us first class on everything. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. But I did have fun in Pitch Perfect. I can't deny that.
Yeah, well, you look great on there as well. Did you ever play against A.J. Hawk?
Oh, yeah. I worked with the guy. You should ask him what he calls me, what my name is.
Well, I'm sure it's something absolutely despicable.
No, it's really not that bad. The funny thing is, I don't know. I think he did know my name. Probably didn't know my name, but he wanted to. He just walked by me. My name either was Brandon or Justin, depending on how he felt. So I'd be like, after he get, I'm like, oh, hey, Jay, man, good to see you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Oh, thanks, Brandon. Talk to you later. Talk to you.
Straight face too, by the way. Straight face whenever he says that. 100%.
Oh yeah, no, I don't even think if you were to ask me, like, yeah, I'm never joking. It's
David, how tough is it replacing a guy like Balaga on the other side of the line? And do you feel like you have to take like more of a heightened leadership role in kind of like getting the chemistry of the O-line back to what it was in years past? I
mean, so Brian's awesome. Brian was in here for a decade. Great dude, great football player. Losing him sucks. That's just a part of the business. Wish him well. I know that the Chargers got a really good right tackle. When it comes to replacing him, I think that's tough. Guys are gonna have to step up at that position. I think the awesome thing about it right now is we're having a good competition at that position. I think competition brings the best out of players. And then within the offensive line room, I think that leadership role and that chemistry. I always made sure I didn't want to step on Brian's toes because he was the the oldest in the room. And I mean, I definitely had my things to say and he'd tell me to shut up a lot. But I mean, now without him there, I kind of have to find someone else to tell me to shut up because if not, I'm just going to be rambling on. Then again, like I said, I can't shut up at the facility, but then when you see me on the field or if I'm mic'd up, it'd be like, wow, this guy doesn't say anything. It's really boring.
This guy stinks. Get the microphone off of that guy. Becoming a leader in position room, though, That is a big deal, especially in the offensive line room, which, by the way, is the tightest group notoriously on every single team. You guys know you have Aaron Rodgers back there. The run game last year with Aaron Jones, and now we picked up
A.J. Dillon.
A.J. Dillon, who has got massive quads, everybody's saying. I mean, the offensive line is really it's a big deal for the Green Bay Packers. And now you're the leader of that group for every team, obviously, not just Green Bay Packers. Has it been a little bit more pressure of like having to show the way, lead the way? Is there anything like that with Beluga gone?
No.
Good for you.
I've always kind of just led by example of how I acted, and I appreciate kind of the other guys in the room, Corey Lindsley, Billy Turner, Lane Taylor, kind of stepping up into more of a leadership role, because I believe like unauthentic leadership, or like if I'm like a rah guy like that's not me, and it's going to come off unauthentic, and people aren't going to buy into that. I try to always be who I am and lead through how I am as a person. And a lot of that is through what I do on a daily basis, day in and day out, by example, sometimes by words, definitely not by all the banter that I have in my jokes, because I mean, that's going to get you in trouble, definitely, if you were to do that on a daily basis. But I think with the room, I mean, we got a great chemistry. The one thing I always try to bring every day, and I think it was awesome. Mercedes Lewis told me this. He goes, I can always count on you. You're always going to bring energy every day to work. I'm like, I got it, man. I have to, or else I'm going to go crazy doing the same thing 8 years, spending all this time with all you guys.
Hey, that faux energy is real, though. Like, hey, even if you don't have it someday, I used to walk into every special teams meeting 7:30 a.m. Hey, here we go. Here we go. Best special teams meeting of all time is about to happen. Everybody knew I was completely full of it, but just that little bit of a boost can like maybe wake some people up and get them in there, because people don't talk about the Groundhog's Day of football. The NFL is Groundhog's Day. It is the same day every single day, 6 months. Very lucky to be in there, but it can become a drag. And if you don't have the right culture in the locker room that can bring people out of it, that's a big deal. It doesn't get talked about.
100%. I mean, we are creatures of habit. Or I think organizations know that, and they like to get us on a schedule and keep us on the same schedule. So it's very routine based. And I mean, now I'm going in my 8th camp. I mean, it's a lot.
Hey, you're an old man at this point. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the hell out of training camp. We appreciate you stopping by. Can't wait to chug a beer or 10 with you. You're the best, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. Good beard, by the way. The beard's looking good right there.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Bakhtiari. Thank you, David. 43 minutes after the hour, we have to get to a break. Big thanks for him stopping by. Training camp. He's like, he does this, and then he's probably going to get changed. Then he's got a nap. Then he's got this. Then he's got this. Training camp is just a series of this is what you have to do next. This is what you have to do next. This is what you have to do next. This 13-hour days, probably even longer than that.
It was interesting to hear him talk about how Bulaga was the leader in that locker room, because actually last night on Hard Knocks they were talking about he was showing the Chargers how they did a play in Green Bay, and they're like, it worked great for us, so maybe we should do it this way. And everyone's like, okay.
Well, that experience, right? Whenever you speak, that's why. And we'll talk about Joe Judge here in a second on the other side of the break down there at the Giants. If you have a resume or experience, your words carry real weight. But if it's your first time or something like that, when you talk, it's hard for a bunch of professionals not to look at you and go, oh, okay, go fornicate. 44 minutes after the hour, we're back on the other side talking about Joe Judge taping tennis balls to defensive backs' hands so we don't have holding penalties. I reached out to Darius Butler to see what he had to say about that, and I can't wait for you to hear his answer. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
Lakers, welcome to the Blender, the home of a team and a fan base on a playoff push the likes the world has never seen before. Crescent City, get on your feet for tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Sprite, an incredibly refreshing drink. Starting at forward was the number 2 overall pick in the 2016 NBA draft. Now he's an NBA All-Star. star, Brandon Ingram. At forward, this man has been dunking on little white kids on the internet for 10 years. The incomparable, unstoppable, 6'6" phenom, Zion Williamson. At center, standing at 8 feet tall, from Georgia Tech, number 22, Derek Favors. This man's family had a reality show in Lithuania. He was born and raised in LA, but he found his J in Vienna. Lonzo Ball. And the OG of the roster. On the court, he's a monster. Braids hanging, shots banging. It's not Drew, it's Drew Holiday. Let's get this done. Thank you very much. Go Pelicans.
Tired of me right now.
That's how you play basketball. This will be a five-bowler from the Red Panda. Up we go. Yes! 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 Red Panda!
What a legendary moment.
You're a legend. It's an honor. Right, so mission accomplished, right?
Come down, intro some players, throw some bowls to Red Panda, fly back to Indianapolis. Success story, Foxy. What a fucking night.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Joe Judge of the New York Giants is trying to institute a brand new culture down there for the Giants of football. He was hired as former special teams coordinator for the New England Patriots. I was very happy when he was hired because anytime you get a special teams guy at head coach, that's great for the brand. Everybody wondered if Joe Judge was going to end up like all the other Bill Belichick coaching tree members, which is go into a place, institute rules that worked in the New England Patriots because they won 6 Super Bowls and have a dynasty, and tell people this is how we're going to act. And then normally it doesn't get well received because players are like, well, that was Bill Belichick, that wasn't you, so you can go to hell. But here's Joe Judge turning things around, brings in Jason Garrett. How you doing? Clap. keep it moving. He also brought in another coach.
Freddie Kitchens.
Freddie Kitchens. How you doing, Freddie? Keep it moving. Joe Judge, Jason Garrett, Freddie Kitchens, and the others are trying to rebuild a culture in the New York Giants organization to take them back to the promised land like they were just a few years back. Eli Manning's retired, maybe. Danny Jones is the guy. Saquon Barkley. They shipped OBJ out of town last year. This feels like a team that could really rebound and bounce back and be great. Young quarterback that's good. They got a young running back that's good. Here we go. Now, Joe Judge has been reported as making people run laps after practice for mistakes. That was not well received by a lot of people who are professionals because they're like, that's a college thing. But Cam Newton of the New England Patriots had a fumble yesterday, ran a lap because that's what Bill Belichick does. So here's Joe Judge instituting what he knows from New England, saying, hey, this is how they do it there. That's how we're going to do it here. We're going to win. We heard about this with Matt Patricia and the Detroit Lions organization. It ran a lot of vets off because vets were like, to hell, this isn't the Patriots, this is the Lions. But now Matt Patricia's got his guys in there. So will the Lions go ahead and to the top? Will Joe Judge have to experience the same thing that Matt Patricia's had to experience, where he lost the locker room, he did all this? Now, there's reports and pictures coming out that Joe Judge taped tennis balls onto the palms of defensive backs so that they can't hold anybody. I had no idea what this was. I was intrigued to hear what it was. So I called our friend Darius Butler, who's the host of the Man to Man podcast alongside Antoine Bethea. They have an interview with Eric Weddle coming out this week. Ooh. I think you'll want to hear. Great podcast. And he also does everything DB, which is defensive backs, and Darius Butler. He breaks down secondaries in the video. So there's no other person I'd rather talk to about this than DB. So I asked him, I said, hey, have you ever heard this before? He said, usually guys wear boxing gloves. Boxing gloves is the move because you can't really grab anybody and it helps. And he said, and normally that's months before the season. We're weeks before the season. He said, the hay's in the barn, pal. If these people are going to hold, they are going to hold. You're only 2 weeks. He said he likes the thought of it. He said normally people use boxing gloves, but it seems like it's a bit too close to the season to be trying to do this because you're not going to be able to change somebody in a week and a half. If they're going to hold, they're going to hold. You just got to hope that you scout them better and don't get that person on your team, or in next offseason go to work. We'll see if it works out. If they have less holding penalties than everybody else, this tennis ball tape job is going to seem like the most brilliant idea of all time for Joe Judge.
And the cool thing with boxing gloves is you can take them off so that you can get yourself some water, tie your shoes, stuff like that. Tennis balls just taped to your hands the entire practice. Seems like...
Listen, these guys are Edward 40 hands with tennis balls. You got to finish the thing before you get out of there. This is Wednesday, August 26th. Radio show coming to an end. We'll see you tomorrow. This is our last week on the channel you're listening to. We will miss you all, including Dawn. This has been the Pat McAfee Show. Okay. Dawn, we are going to miss you. I mean, people are watching on YouTube. They can't hear you, Dawn. Dawn, I want to let you know you were a massive part of the thought process whenever we were going through the whole thing about how we're going to miss the hell out of our guy, Dawn, who's been in our ears this entire time. He said, great ride with us. He appreciates the love. Very good, man.
Best in the business.
Love you, Don.
Hey, love you, Dawn.
Love you, Dawn.
Love you, Dawn.
Great guy.
Thanks, Dawn. Yeah. You don't have your address, but not a bad show today. You know what? I'll tell you what. Bakhtiari, a lot more reserved than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to be a little bit wide open. By the way, he comes alive whenever he starts chugging those beers. It's showtime. It's showtime. It's showtime.
What's it like when you're doing an interview and the PR guy standing right there?
Breathing down your neck.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
After the interview, he I could still see him. Obviously, he looked at us like right away, like he's like I didn't know what to do there.
Well, the PR guy, the Packers and us have an interesting relationship, and I believe the PR people have an interesting relationship with us as well. Green Bay Packers probably old school, very conservative operation. The fact that people come on our show from the Packers is probably a big deal. We appreciate it, but get the fuck off the guy's back.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What do you think Bakhtiari is going to say? What do you think is going to happen? But they got to do their job too. So, I mean, it's a fine balance. Get the fuck off his
Do less.
I can't believe Fisher, the Fisher woman in the family, do Oklahoma drills during the weddings that they attend.
What do you say? A leg sweep?
Yeah,
Leg
leg
sweep
sweep and she
to a
broke
tore
her
rotator.
shoulder. Yeah, tore a rotator cuff.
I love Jeff Fisher.
Me too.
Jeff Fisher was wide open there.
Fullback.
He was just wide open right there. I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
Took a year off.
Fuck. There's so much to talk about in what you just said right there. We have to move this conversation. I'd like to dive in. Let's go to Todd in Wyoming.
Ooh.
Todd in Wyoming. What's going on, Todd?
Oh, nothing. Just hanging out. How you guys doing? How's the boys?
Hey, we're good, man. I think we had a pretty good day. Gus Malzahn had great interview, great conversation. Didn't have as much energy as I thought college football coaches was, but we got to remember middle of training camp for a lot of these guys. They're battling right now. How are you out there, Todd? Out there in Wyoming?
We're doing good. Hey, I have a quick question though. How would your phenomenal punt to the face affect AJ's majestic jawline?
That's a great question. That could potentially be the Achilles heel.
The unstoppable force versus the immovable object.
Like when Thor and the Hulk punched each other, and there was just a massive boom.
I think we have another call from Wyoming. Are we fucking a big deal in Wyoming?
Wow. Wyoming's hot right now. Those states are hot right
Hey,
now.
shout out to Wyoming, man. We appreciate you. Let's go to Alex in Wyoming. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Pat?
Just hanging out. How are you, bub?
Hey, big shout out to you and the boys. I'm a big fan of the show.
Hey, we appreciate you calling in. We can't wait to chat with you. Thanks for watching, brother.
Hey, awesome. Hey, can I just say, your FanDuel deal where you handed out the cash to the boys, best moment in podcasting and entertainment all year. It barely edges that NXT performance that you gave last weekend. By the way, great job.
Oh, well, thank you, Alex. Hell yeah. There's two pretty big things. I'll tell you what.
I wanted to talk
the one
about,
video was very expensive.
Sorry to cut you off, Pat.
No worries, Alex. Do your thing, bud. Your show. Go ahead.
Okay. No, definitely your show. So let's talk Messi. I love the idea of him possibly coming to the MLS, New York FC, I believe. But it's kind of that David Beckham thing. A soccer great like Messi, top 3 guy in my opinion. I'm sure I'm not alone. But I'd love to see him play if it wasn't, 3 years after. I believe he's going to do 3 years in the Premier League. So he'll be 36 at the time, I believe, that he'll be coming over here, if that happens and goes through. I just wish, it was 10 years ago and we get to see prime Messi. So I can't complain. Big fan.
Well, Alex, I think that would be a goal for a lot of people. I'm just not 100% sure that the MLS can afford to do things like that. The price tag right now that they have to pay to get Messi is $830 million, I do believe. $853 million. So if the MLS was to pick, now granted, they gave David Beckham like $250,000 a day or something like that in their deal that they made him, and he came to the LA Galaxy and there was a little bit of pop, but did it put the MLS on par with the MLB or anybody else? No. Brought a lot of attention, cost a lot of money. David Beckham was the guy. He was very attractive, very good when he was at Manchester United. He was a guy why I went and kicked a soccer ball against a wall because I wanted to have a stronger leg than David Beckham. He was a guy who modeled a lot of the things that I did because of David Beckham. He comes over, though, obviously big pop, but it did not put the MLS up into the superstardom. So I would assume that the MLS had to learn from that deal. They've made some deals. Thierry Henry came over here and played. Zlatan Ibrahimovic came over here and played. But it does feel as if, and I think this is a good thing. If you talk to MLS fans, they view it as a bad thing. It feels as if the MLS is Florida. Okay, Florida is heaven's waiting room. Okay. That is what Florida is. People go down there to retire and hang out. That is what the MLS feels like that for the superstar soccer community. And I enjoy it because you get a chance to go maybe see some of the greatest soccer players of all time play. You get a chance to watch them play if the MLS games are on TV. But the MLS soccer fans are always like, our league should be better than the retirement league for everybody else. And I hate to break to the MLS fans. You're not.
It's not.
Nope. It's not. It's just not.
Won't be.
And by the way, I don't think it's a bad thing either. When Zlatan was playing last year, highlights all over the place. Him talking made waves on the internet. It made people talk about the MLS. When Thierry Henry was playing, there was waves. There was highlights. When Wayne Rooney was playing, there was waves. There was highlights. I think that is not a bad thing to do. But if you talk to the MLS fans, they hate it. They hate the thought of people retiring over here. And I don't know why. I don't know.
They should, point your anger towards, the superstar players from America that are over there, It's not on us.
Hey, Christian Pulisic, go get every dollar you can get over there, pal. Go get every dollar. You're the best player in the world, Christian. Go ahead and get every dollar you can get. Christian Pulisic, by the way, isn't just saying, I want out of here, and then in the afternoon saying, I don't want to go to this team, by the way.
No.
Oh, like Messi.
Blame Brady. If you're mad.
John
Brady.
Clark in Illinois. What's going on, bub?
Hey, what's up, boys?
Nothing. What's going on, John?
Well, I have a theory with the Carolina Panthers, especially after they signed the wide receiver Cam today. I think that one slip of the the position from Teddy, I think it's going to be PJ's whole entire team. Honest.
Okay, let's go to Jacob in Virginia. Jacob, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Pat? Shout
He's
out
paid
to
him
all the
fucking
boys.
$20 million a year.
Quick wrestling question: with the WWE doing all this Thunderdome stuff, is that kind of bad news for everybody bringing fans in recently?
I don't know. What do you mean? Elaborate on that.
Well, although the Thunderdome is just the Orlando Magic's arena with some TVs and stuff, WWE is throwing a lot of money into doing this whole Thunderdome thing, and I'm guessing they wouldn't do that just for a SummerSlam and a couple Raws and SmackDowns. Like, it seems like this may be more of a longer-term thing than having them go out of the Performance Center.
That's very interesting, and I don't know if the WWE is privy to more information than other leagues who are thinking about bringing fans back. I don't know if the WWE is privy to more information than the NFL would be, who's talking about potentially having some fans. I think the WWE has just saw what other leagues were potentially doing to try to get their fans involved and said, hey, we can do that. How do we do that in our own fashion? And they made this incredible spectacle of the Thunderdome. But the thought that it could last a long, long time, I don't know if I've ever had that go in my mind, and I don't think any other fan other than you, and maybe you're more woke than everybody else. It just feels like they're trying to innovate as much as they possibly can so that the product can relate and refer and be a product that they're used to putting out pre-COVID-19. Great question, though, Jacob. Let's go to Justin in South Kakalaka. This was the guy yesterday who didn't say anything the first time we answered, and then the second time he was back on. Now here he is again. Can't wait to talk to our guy from South Carolina. This guy stinks. Again? This guy fucking stinks.
He's
Can't
running
do
it
it.
back.
Can't do it. Yesterday's second conversation was good, but I can't do that again with that guy.
No chance.
I'm not doing that dance with Justin from South Kakalaka again.
you're
Okay, I'm
setting
not
the
going to do it.
Fool me once.
Shame on me.
Nice.
Shame on you.
Fool me twice.
Fool me twice.
Shame on.
Shame on me.
Third time.
And then there's a third time too, right in there?
Fool me a third time.
I feel like I've heard people use that particular metaphor in numerous different occasions.
Shame on us.
Shame on us. Shame on Mitt.
Bush has a great one.
Yeah. Who?
George Bush did a great
Now watch me hit this drop.
rendition of the Fool Me Once.
Let me hear it.
I can't remember it. I forget the exact conundrum he put himself in, but it was electric.
He put himself. You just drew a puzzle that George Bush's brain put himself into.
Yeah, it was awesome. I forget.
It's in a
what
J. Cole song.
It's in a J. Cole song. Yeah.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me. You can't
3
get fooled
times.
again.
Yeah, I do remember that. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because
is.
you fool me once. It's like, well, who is the shame on? Is that shame on me? And then I think for the statement, though, it's shame on you for
Yes.
fooling me.
Yeah, but it should be.
Which is kind of fucked up because you fooled me. Maybe it should be like, bravo to you. Fool
Yes,
me once,
yeah.
bravo to you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That
Yes.
maybe should be how the quote goes.
Depends on your outlook in life.
Yeah, I agree.
Now watch me hit this drop.
We will not. The internet is the greatest place on earth. All right, a couple big announcements today, a couple good conversations, took some phone calls. Did we do any YouTube questions? We probably should do at least a YouTube question before we get out of here. Read a couple ad reads. Zito, I would say today, worst day by far in your particular
What do you
read.
mean?
Just a fucking terrible, terrible, terrible read.
Well, I was trying to elaborate.
Not your fault. It was probably the ad's fault, by the way. Fool you 10 times, shame, bravo to the ad. But today was the day it got you. And sometimes you're going to get got. You just got to get yours more than you get got, though. Speaking of, let's dive into the most beautiful part of the internet, the YouTube comment section for some YouTube questions. YouTube questions.
I'm gonna be honest with you. We don't have any YouTube questions.
This
right now.
show stinks. All right, Wednesday, August 26th. We are back tomorrow, 10 a.m. live Eastern Daylight Time, youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. We are on a road to 1 million subscribers. It is going to be a beautiful thing whenever we get there. Massive, massive giveaway. So be a friend, tell a friend. We're at 913,000 subscribers now. Big shout out for the 2,000 jump in one day. Yesterday, I think we were at 911. Shout out to subscribers coming in and playing. We appreciate the hell out of you. Please turn on notifications, ring the bell. I do believe it is right over here.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
close. Yep,
yeah,
there you
it's
go.
bottom.
Watch
This
in.
one here?
Watch in.
Yeah. So it's down yonder. Get notified whenever we go live because there will be some pop-up live things. We're building a studio at my house currently so I can have internet so I can go live on YouTube random times.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm going to do some Q&A. It's going to, I'm going to lean into the YouTube, by the way. I'm going to lean into the YouTube.
Take contact.
I'm going to try because, I'm probably and one.
And one.
I'm going to try my
With
best
it.
to go and one. Instagram, I can't figure out. I've been getting my most likes, though, here the last couple of days.
Here we
I
go.
think that's potentially
Oh, so you
because
figured it out.
Oh, they stopped
WW
shadow banning you.
well, I do feel like
I still don't ever see her stuff.
That's
so,
what I'm
yeah.
saying. My
Ever.
shit
Yeah.
disappears on there.
Both. I
Twitter,
own everything.
Twitter has become a place that is tough.
Also-
very, very, very negative. But I put tweets out. My dad doesn't even see them.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of things happening there. YouTube seems to be the only place that I'm consistent with and I'm on a regular basis, and people can't see me, even though some days people do not get notified when we go live. So I'm trying to figure out all these fucking things like I'm Jeff Fisher, but I'm gonna lean into the YouTube. We're building a studio at my house so I can just go ahead and flip a switch and be live.
Hell yeah.
I'm pumped up for the fall. We got a big fall schedule. The lineup that we are going to unveil here for this YouTube channel coming up this fall, I think people are going to be very excited about. We have done, I've done some big business moves here. Now I've done some signings. Okay, I've done some big business moves. I'm going to try to turn this particular show and our shows into real escapes for people to either get information, entertain, and kind of disappear from the world. A real mental vacation, and I'm having a good time with it. Our partners at FanDuel have helped out a lot too. But I mean, I say, hey, can we do this? They go, let me run this up the thing. Yeah, you can. Let's figure it out. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's do it.
Here we go.
We're doing it then. Oh, why do you want to do it? Well, I don't want to get into that whole fucking song and dance, but just know I think it's going to work. All right, you said it. Let's go ahead and do it. So we got a big fall coming up. We're pumped up about it. Moving to 12 to 3. So that means the alarms are probably going to get turned off the phones, which is good news. And we can't thank you all enough for supporting the hell out of us. We literally would be nothing without you. So cheers. Have a great one. We will see you mañana. Tomorrow, McAfee and Hawk also starts at noon. No McAfee and Hawk today. We haven't had shows on Wednesdays for a long time. And other than that, cheers. Can't fucking wait for the fall to start. And we can't thank you all enough. Have a good one.